here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Welcome into a Hump Day Wednesday edition of the show. We're halfway through the week. We're just counting down the days till the Eagles play the Cowboys on Christmas Eve. The Sixers play the Knicks on Christmas. It's a great time of year. Although it is ridiculously cold outside these last couple of days. And how much irony. Is there anything more South Jersey than the fact that it's supposed to get about 20 degrees warmer over the next 2 days and it's supposed to rain? Is there anything more South Jersey than a weather fluctuation just days before Christmas? We got a busy show coming up today. Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City will join us coming up at 2:40 p.m. We got John McMullen back for more Eagles news and notes at 3 p.m. NFL insider Adam Caplan joins us for Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast with all the latest as well on the Eagles. And by then, we should have the latest Eagles injury report. On game night, we have Weinberg Wednesday, and Dave Weinberg will join us coming up at 4:40 tonight. And Sixers and NBA talk at 5:20 with NBA podcast, co-host and Liberty Ballers contributor Bryan Toporek at 5:20. And of course, you could join the conversation at 609-403-0973. You can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. So it's going to be about 2 hours until we get the official Eagles injury report for today. But yesterday, we already started getting the first signs that it's very likely that Jalen Hurts doesn't play on Saturday late afternoon. He was listed as a DNP, did not practice for the Tuesday walkthrough. Now, if you were listening yesterday, John McMullen explained that today is probably going to be the only full day of practice because the game is on Saturday and not Sunday. So everything kind of gets shuffled around on a week like this. Traditionally, for a Sunday game, Thursday is the big practice day. Well, now you move it back a day, so now it's Wednesday. A couple other guys were also not playing yesterday, including Kevon Wallace with a hip issue and Zach Pascal, which apparently he's dealing with a concussion, which I did not know about until this came out. Interestingly, good news, Reed Blankenship with a full participant at practice, according to the injury report. So I'm very curious to see, who is actually on and not on the report today, because that'll give us a lot of information. We don't have to wait until Friday or Saturday and Sunday to get what we need. We are in a situation because of the Eagles playing on Saturday that we will know basically Thursday and Friday everything we need to know. It's very likely that the Eagles are going to take this very up to the minute. Now, they may, and I'm not saying it's completely out of the question. And I understand that there's some gamesmanship that goes with this. There's some angling and strategy and different things that people love to do. But I've had multiple people ask me over the last 36 hours, and I'm finding myself more and more in the same mode. I don't think Jalen Hurts should play this Saturday at all. And I was kind of waffling on this a little bit on Monday. I wasn't 100% on the, hey, Jalen shouldn't play train, because guess what? You and me, all of us watching the Eagles game on Sunday in Chicago, we saw Jalen have the best quarter of the game after he sprained his shoulder. Now, I don't know if that was adrenaline. I don't know if that was just hyper focus on the young man's part. I don't know what it was, but I do know that he played exceptionally well in the fourth quarter compared to the previous three with a sprained shoulder. So what does that really mean moving forward? Well, what it means to me is that he can play. It's not like he can't throw it all. It's not like he can't lift his shoulder above his head or anything like that. Jalen has made the comment that he has played multiple times over the years with injuries that nobody knew about. And the difference is that this time everyone knows about this injury. So, if you're concerned the Cowboys try to hit him a little harder this week or something like that happens, that's obviously something you have to keep in the back of your mind. But I have been brought over to the side of this guy has to do two things. One, he can't play this Saturday. And I've taken this position because the more I've heard former coaches and players talk, whether it's on ESPN television or NFL Network, the more guys talk, like Herm Edwards yesterday, saying that you got to protect the player from himself. I think there is something to be said for you want the best version of Jalen Hurts for the postseason. Yesterday on NFL Live, former NFL safety Ryan Clark said this.
Be able to function in the way that he has for the entire season, and you can't do that with a hurt shoulder. Dan has week in and week out talked about the placement of his football downfield. Yeah. You need to be healthy in order to do that. And I think you sit him this week, you make sure you win the one game that you need in order to host the playoffs throughout the entirety of them, and then you allow Gardner Minshew to play until Jalen Hurts is needed in the playoffs.
You sit him until you need him for the playoff. You need the best version of Hurts in the postseason. You don't need a lesser version of him in the postseason. You don't want him running apprehensive or thinking twice about that shoulder. And I guarantee you, whether we want to admit it or not, NFL teams, when they see an injury report and they see a guy has an ankle or a shoulder or a knee or a groin or whatever designation they are given on the injury report, you don't think guys take that into account? You don't think guys factor that in? You got to let Jalen get better. You have to let him recover. This was Herm Edwards yesterday on ESPN radio with Jason Fitz talking about Jalen Hurts.
Well, when you think about it, you're always in the mindset of protecting the player, and he's your best asset. And as much as you'd like him to obviously have an opportunity to win the MVP award, it'd be much sweeter if he wins the Super Bowl. So with that being said, I just think that coach will see where he's at with the doctors. I think if he can practice here next week, you get him practicing, so he can just go out and practice. But you got to protect him from himself.
You got to protect him from himself. And right now, according to people who are at practice, and we'll talk with John McMullen closer about this coming up, because he is at practice in about less than an hour from now, it looks like the quarterbacks on the field are Ian Book and Gardner Minshew. So that's already given you an idea of who's getting the work in. It's Minshew doing most of the throwing. It's Ian Book doing different things. And the one video I see online is Jalen Hurts in the background watching. You don't need Jalen Hurts to win this game on Saturday. You would prefer for him to be on the field, but you don't need him on the field on Saturday. That's a huge difference. What you need him is healthy. Now, of course, there's the other side of the coin, which is you don't want him sitting for the next 3 weeks. Then he'll be sitting on his rear end for sitting out for 4 weeks and not getting reps. But as former Dallas Cowboy Marcus Spears is saying on ESPN television, the variable between the Eagles offense with and without Hurts is not a lot.
I expect the operation to be the same. The QB run is obviously going to take a hit one, you don't want to get Gardner Minshew hurt.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
But also, like, look, this Dallas Goedert to me added, I'm glad we had that. This added a lot to what it is, because when you have a quarterback coming in, obviously your second guy, the tight end and the run game becomes their best friend, because usually that's your intermediate area. And then, too, we know Devontae and AJ on the outside. We see them catch 50-50 balls. I think Gardner Minshew is very well capable of putting the ball in position for those guys to have success. I expect the offense to look the same except for the QB run.
And again, that's a defensive guy who played in the NFL saying that. Is Jalen Hurts an MVP candidate? Yes. Is he a better NFL quarterback than Gardner Minshew? Yes. But we can't act like Minshew is just some, he's not Luke Falk when he played for the Jets against the Eagles and the Eagles destroyed him. This is a high-level, competent backup quarterback. And in a league where not every backup quarterback is reliable or trustworthy or even worth seeing the playing field, but he's mostly there because he knows the playbook and he's a good guy in the quarterback room, Gardner Minshew is a more than capable backup. You can win games with Gardner Minshew in the NFL. Will it always look pretty? No. Will it be aesthetically pleasing? No. But with Dallas Goedert's return, I expect him to have a big game on Saturday. Or at least as big of a game as you can coming off of an injury, not playing for a few weeks. Because I think Minshew and the Eagles are going to work that intermediate part of the field, which has gotten at times overlooked because of Shane Steichen's play calling. Shane Steichen loves to push the ball down the field. He loves to be the guy who sends them deep, sends them long, and all that stuff. Now, the other side of the conversation is, even though I don't want Jalen to play this Saturday, 4:25 kickoff between Eagles and Cowboys, hear all the coverage right here on 97.3 ESPN this Saturday. I don't want Jalen sitting out for 4 weeks either. Former NFL quarterback Dan Orlovsky yesterday on NFL Live.
You don't want to go into a win or go home tournament and not having played football for a month. So while I agree, don't play him this week, as long or even though you might have the number one seed locked up, I think he's got to play a little bit before the playoffs start. And I think you treat it a little bit like a week 2 and or a week 3 of the preseason. You do want him to be sharp with the timing of his receivers, the way he sees the defense, his eyes. I would say this, the balance of I want him to get back and playing his best. Again, that is a win or go home tournament once you get in versus keeping him healthy. If he plays, and if I were the Eagles, I would try to make sure that he plays a little bit before the end of the season. I'm not calling a single, and I don't care the situation, single quarterback run. I'm just making sure that he's getting some reps to get his timing in with those receivers.
You need reps. You need timing. So here's my strategy, and you guys can tell me what you think at 609-403-0973 on the text board. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. If I'm the Eagles, I don't play Jalen at all this Saturday. I see where he's at next week. And I either play him in the Saints game or the Giants game. Now, personally, what I would do if I were the Eagles is I would just tell Jalen, look, barring anything unique that's going to happen, we're not playing you Saturday at all. If we can get you on the field for the Saints game, great. Ideally, you would actually like Hurts to not even play in the Saints game. You'd like Hurts to go out there and play 1 or 2 quarters in the Giants game, basically as a tune-up for the postseason. So that way he's as close to the playoffs as possible with getting reps in live action. Because realistically, I don't want a banged up quarterback. I don't want a rusty quarterback. I don't want an injured quarterback. I don't care if it's Jalen Hurts, Joe Montana, John Elway, Steve Young, Steve McNair. I don't care who it is. I want a healthy quarterback for the playoffs, but I also want him sitting around for about 5 weeks, not getting reps, not seeing the game in real time. The more people I talk to about this, I think the more we realize that you want Jalen on the field versus the Cowboys because of what Micah Parsons said and what other people are saying around the league. But it's more important for Jalen to be healthy than to have him on the field versus the Cowboys. And realistically, it might be a blessing in disguise if he isn't on the field. What do I mean by that? Well, if the last thing the Cowboys see of you in person is Gardner Minshew, and you have to face Dallas in the postseason, they don't have the most recent game of Jalen versus your defense. They have Gardner Minshew versus your defense. So now you're getting those, the head coach loves playing the head games, and he loves doing the whole, strategy and manipulating other teams and all that stuff. Now it's turning into, it's a game of chess. It's no longer checkers, we'll call it. I understand the Eagles, like I said, they don't confirm. They don't want to establish that Jalen is already out, so the Cowboys don't have to prepare. But if you listen to ESPN Cowboys reporter Ed Werder yesterday on SportsCenter, it sounds like to me the Cowboys don't seem to be too worried about who the Eagles quarterback is because they got enough problems of their own.
The prevailing theme among Cowboys defensive players today, they're not concerned about who's starting at quarterback for the Eagles. They're too worried about who's going to show up for the Dallas defense and when. Dan Quinn's defense was dominant for most of the season. They were the reason the Cowboys were winning games when Dak Prescott was out injured and now coming off a loss in Jacksonville where they allowed 503 yards and 34 points on defense, both season highs. The players must reassert themselves even while the defense is weakened by injuries. They have just one Micah Parsons sack over the last 2 weeks. Safety Jaron Kearse said that when the Cowboys offense scores 34 points, as happened Sunday, it should result in a win. A comfortable win is what Kearse said, if they're among the best defenses in the NFL as they believe.
And don't forget, this is a Cowboys defense that when they faced the Eagles, had a rough day at the offense. Look, you go through the Cowboys' schedule this year, you realize that are they a talented defense on paper? Yes. But have they had some rough games this year? Absolutely. Philadelphia scored the fourth most points on the Dallas Cowboys defense. The fourth most points. The only teams to score more were the Bears, the Packers, and the Jags. So you know what that tells me? That tells me that the Cowboys defense is vulnerable. They are susceptible. They are not completely without being able to be had. And by the way, all the teams that scored more points than the Eagles, those were all games after the Eagles game. You don't think that teams like Chicago, like Green Bay, like Jacksonville saw the Eagles game on tape and used it when they played Dallas? Of course they did. And now, aside from the Eagles game, even the Eagles have 3 different games where Dallas allowed more points than them. Dallas in all of those games allowed more total yards than the Eagles game. And by the way, and in all those games, Dallas had 24 first downs. If you get 24 first downs and you score around 30 points a game, as Ed Werder said, you should be winning those games. Dallas has a tall test ahead of them. Because whether it's Gardner Minshew or Jalen Hurts, and we expect it to be Minshew, I'm telling you guys right now, Dallas's defense has a lot to figure out. They got to get things right. Josh Hennig here, filling in for Mike Gill on a Hump Day Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Get your game on at the Gallery Bar, booking games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Go to the Gallery in Ocean Casino Resort to go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or to play. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Of course, Mike Gill and Ryan Rothstein are over at Ocean at the Gallery Bar booking games each Monday. They won't be there for January 2nd, but aside from that, they are over there each Monday doing the show, hanging out. Great spot, Ocean Casino Resort, proud sponsor of the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. I'll get to your guys' text on the other side. 609-403-0973 is the text board. And also your DMs in the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Don't forget, we'll be talking NFC East and Sixers coming up with Mike McGarry at 2:40 p.m. The latest from Eagles practice at 3. Adam Caplan with the latest on the Eagles at football at 4 with the injury report. All that and more still to come here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
Happy holidays to all of our listeners.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas from 97.3 ESPN.
If you're struggling with addiction, medication that can support recovery may be the right option for you. Call 844-REACH-NJ now to learn more and start your recovery journey.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals for Business start now with fresh, limited quantity deals on tech to drive productivity. Save on select performance laptops and desktops powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything, and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
I'm back. This is James, owner of Car Toys. Come celebrate our 29th year here at Car Toys, the only shop offering buy one, get one. Remote car start, heated seat, window tint, detailing. It's all buy one, get one free. 29% off ceramic pro treatment, 29% off labor sale, $288 gift card for $188, $888 for $688, 10-hour MacGyver value at $1,500 for $888. Install any step bar, folder cover, or radio for $88.88. Free installation on any speaker purchase. Stop the clock at 888 was a hit, so let's ride it to Christmas. All you have to do is press the button, stop the clock at 888. It's Merry Christmas from me to you. Car Toys have something for everyone. We even sell cars and trucks with over 80 unique vehicles and work van in stock. Buy, sell, trade, build, wrap, finance. We do it all. Have Car Toys build you that badass lifted truck, Jeep, custom work van you always wanted. Look for our ad every Sunday in a press of AC. Shop online. Check us out at distinctivecartoys.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Come in and take advantage of me. Stop the clock at 888. It's only at Car Toys, 2800 Fire Road EXT. You can't miss it. It's all lit up. All you have to do is stop the clock at 888. Try not to choke. From our family to yours, we wish everyone a safe and a happy holiday. Car Toys. I'll see you there.
An Oral-B electric toothbrush delivers a professional, purifying, clean feeling. So if you want a round brush head inspired by dentists,
Come and get it.
and if you want a brush that cleans 100% better than a regular brush for cleaner teeth and healthier gums,
What you waiting for?
Oral-B is the brand dentists worldwide use the most. So maybe it's time you
Come and get it.
get it. Oral-B. Brush like a pro.
This holiday ad will be over in 27 seconds. Unlike the new Duracell battery with Power Boost ingredients that can last 19,976 seconds in your kid's RC motorcycle, or 6,801 seconds on your beard trimmer for this year's family photo, or 15,172 seconds on your electric frother for some holiday eggnog, and many more seconds to get more out of your holiday season. Duracell, unlike this ad, engineered for more.
Do you love a good cigar almost as much as your family? Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but you can find that perfect cigar at Smokers Haven. With 5 New Jersey locations, Smokers Haven has the finest selection of cigars in the area, like Ashton, My Father's, Romeo and Julieta, Monte Cristo, and more. All from the finest tobacco leaves and hand-rolled by the world's finest cigar makers. All locations are fully open. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. See all they have and their locations at smokershavennj.com.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, how Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Tax refund advance loans at Jackson Hewitt, up to $4,500. Details at jacksonhewitt.com. Eligible clients can get up to $1,000 in December and up to $3,500 in January. Loans by Republic Bank and Trust. Finance charge may apply.
Up at the dealership, people pause. Out comes good old trade-in clause. The perfect time of year to upgrade your ride. Trade in your car while the values are high.
Bring any trade to Matt Platt Kia and drive home in a brand new Kia, even with 0 down and 0% APR financing for 36 months. Don't see your new Kia on the lot today? That doesn't mean you can't drive it home tomorrow with peace of mind. Matt Platt Kia's exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy. So if you have a job clearing $350 per week at Matt Platt Kia, you're virtually approved. So why pay more when you can pay 0% with 0 down?
Ho, ho, ho. Boys, we're going to Matt Platt Kia.
It's gotta be a Matt Platt Kia.
Requalifications exist with approved credit. $2,778 per thousand financed on in-stock 2023 Sorrento Hybrid. Not all will qualify. Go to mattplattkianj.com for complete details or 888-506-4132. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 12/31/22. Matt Platt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 and Toms River.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Don't forget, still to come on the Sports Bash, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on a Wednesday edition on 97.3 ESPN. Mike Gill will be back tomorrow at Chickies and Pete's. Got a lot of Eagles, a lot of Sixers, a lot of NFL stuff to get to. And by the way, how about former Eagle Nick Foles finally getting his opportunity? Yes. Matt Ryan is finally getting benched. And all the saints in heaven say amen. Seriously, though. I mean, how many weeks have me and Rob Motti talked about this on game night? Rob Motti from the Associated Press. We talked about numerous times. Like, this Colts organization is such a dumpster fire that they took them until now to figure out that maybe, just maybe, Matt Ryan is not your best option to win games. It is not that Nick Foles is exceptionally better, but Foles right now has more arm strength, is healthier, and has more awareness than Matt Ryan does right now. I mean, Matt Ryan can barely throw the ball beyond, 12 yards, 20 yards? Nick Foles can still launch it 30 yards. According to Dan Graziano of ESPN, there will be an official announcement later today about Nick Foles. The expectation is that he will not just start this week, but the final 3 games of the season. I say good for the Colts finally. Good for the Colts to finally grow up and realize that Matt Ryan shouldn't be playing. I'm not saying that Nick Foles wins you the Vikings game or wins you the Cowboys game or wins you the Eagles game per se. But I just think he's a better option right now. And this is the problem in sports. Sports are run by stubborn people. More often than not, the decisions that are made in the world we live in, not just sports, but overall, it's typically done because there are people who think that their way is the best way, and they can't see another way. They can't see another option. They can't see beyond the forest. What's that saying? They can't see the forest for the trees? It's like the Colts were so intent on making the Matt Ryan thing work. It's like you're paying this guy, Nick Foles, to be on your roster, and you waited until now to even put him out there. I think we all can guarantee that Jeff Saturday is very likely not to be the head coach of that team next year. And he is probably not even going to be a coach anywhere in the NFL next year. By the way, thoughts and condolences out there to the Penn State family and Steelers fans out there. Franco Harris passed away today at the age of 72. You know, Franco Harris was arguably the best player on those Steeler teams. Those Steeler teams that had wall-to-wall Hall of Famers on the roster. And you could argue the best player, the best, football player on that team was Harris. He's one of the greatest running backs in Penn State history. He's one of the greatest running backs in NFL history. And he passed away. And it's really a shame because we were just days away from celebrating the anniversary of one of the most famous plays in NFL history that Franco Harris was involved in, the Immaculate Reception back in 1972. It would have been 50 years this Friday. They're going to do this whole celebration this weekend with Franco Harris and everything there. And now he passes away just days before. Really, really a sad state of affairs. The biggest problem for guys like Harris in terms of football fans is that there's an entire generation of people who just have zero clue about anything that didn't happen in their lifetime. They never look up NFL films. They never look it up on YouTube. They never do the research. So they don't realize that Franco Harris is one of the greatest running backs of all time. Franco Harris could do everything on the field. And beyond that, he was a great person either. He was a great person as well. So, it's a loss for the NFL community. It's loss for Steelers Nation. It's a loss for the Penn State community as a whole. And there's a little bit of irony that two of the real good guys in NFL history are both in the news on the same day for completely different reasons. Nick Foles finally getting a chance to start for the Colts, which has been long overdue, and Franco Harris sadly passing away at the age of 72. Over on the text board, 609-403-0973. Jeff in Ocean City chimes in on the text board and says, Josh, you're right. Jalen should not play this Saturday. He needs to heal, and Dallas will be out to injure him further if they do put him out there. It's a great chance to let Minshew play some meaningful games. And if Dallas wins the game, then bring Jalen back for the Saints game. Like you said, the Eagles only need one win in 3 games to lock up the 1 seed. Yeah, look, to me, I'm not trying to rush anyone out there. There's going to be no CJ Gardner-Johnson until further notice, right? Lacerated kidney. I mean, I don't know how long that takes to heal, but I'm not sitting here trying to run him out there just to get him on the field. I think that's irresponsible as well. Look, when it comes to athletes, as Herm Edwards said, I played the audio again today, you got to protect them from themselves. You can't let the athlete say, I'm fine, and then get injured worse, and then you're without him till further notice. There's no harm in sitting Jalen Hurts this week. In fact, everything I've seen online says that Jalen Hurts is not even on the practice field practicing. That tells you how cautious they're being, and they should be cautious. Look, Dallas Goedert, in theory, could have played this past Sunday, but they didn't. They held him off for Dallas. There's no harm in being a little extra precautionary with one of your best players. And you know what? In an NFL where Nick Foles is getting the chance to start in Indianapolis because Matt Ryan has been that rough. And the Cardinals are starting Trace McSorley this weekend because Colt McCoy has a concussion and Kyler Murray has got a jacked up leg. You're not too bad with Gardner Minshew out there. That's for sure. I feel like there's a lot of NFL teams that'd rather have Gardner Minshew out there than, I don't know, Trace McSorley, Davis Mills. I mean, maybe even better than Brock Purdy of the 49ers. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. We'll get more into the NFC East and the Sixers coming up next. The Sixers are going for their 8th straight home win tonight. They got 2 more games left on this homestand before they go to Madison Square Garden to play the Knicks on Christmas Day. And hear all the games right here on 97.3 ESPN. Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City joins us next here on a Hump Day Wednesday.
Isn't there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about?
It's about sports.
Are you kidding me?
We've got the Sixers, Knicks, and 3 NFL games on Christmas Day.
And there is a touchdown.
It's all on 97.3 ESPN.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The world is always on, but you shouldn't be. Put junk sleep to bed. During Mattress Firm's Dream December sale, save up to 60% with Sealy Queen mattresses starting at $279.99. Only at Mattress Firm.
Have you been naughty or nice this year? Cash don't care. At Jackson Hewitt, you could still get up to $4,500 for the holidays. Some bucks now, more bucks in January. So be naughty. Snap up all the ginger snaps. Wear a pretty sweater to an ugly sweater holiday party. You could still get up to $4,500 when you go to Jackson Hewitt today. Details at jacksonhewitt.com. Eligible clients can get up to $1,000 in December and up to $3,500 in January. Loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Finance charge may apply.
At my age, I never dreamed I'd be dealing with opioid addiction.
I was pregnant and I couldn't stop.
Getting sidelined by an injury was bad, but the cravings were way worse.
Then I heard about 844-REACH-NJ.
They connected me to treatment and I had a healthy baby.
844-REACH-NJ was the call that made the difference.
Thank goodness I made the call.
So glad I made the call for both of us.
REACH-NJ. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, call 844-REACH-NJ from the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
Hey, are you ready?
The Christmas countdown's on at JCPenney. Through Saturday, use your coupon and dash away with very merry savings on last-minute gifts across the store, like fine jewelry stocking stuffers up to 70% off after coupon, and save up to 50% on comfy, stylish outerwear for the whole fam. Add curbside pickup to make your trip extra quick. We got your holiday. JCPenney. Offers good on select items through 12/24. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
'Twas the month of December, and all through the lot, people were shouting about the offers they got.
I got more for my trade.
These are the best prices in town.
They bailed me out of my loan. I was upside down.
If you're worried about credit, stop. Just apply, because the staff at Matt Platt Mitsubishi wants to see you in a new ride. Ho, ho, ho. So if you have a job clearing $350 per week at Matt Platt Mitsubishi, you're virtually approved. Plus, every new Mitsubishi Outlander SUV puts 0 down and 0% APR financing for 36 months. Worried that your credit will keep you from getting a new ride? Matt Platt Mitsubishi wants to finance your future, not your past. Simply Matt Platt Mitsubishi. Requalifications exist. Not all will qualify. $27.78 per thousand finance not approved with Tier 1 credit. Rebates and incentives to dealer or call 844-946-2315 for complete details. Plus tax, license, registration fees. Offers can't be combined. Expires 12/31/22. So come in today and get your deal your way. Located right in the heart of Glassboro for over 30 years.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, how Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Dell's Days of Deals start now with fresh, limited quantity deals each day on tech to power every passion. Save on select XPS laptops and Alienware PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget, special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and monthly payment options with Dell Preferred Account. Just call 877-ASK-DELL for Days of Deals savings. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
The annual Wildwood Fishing and Boating Expo is returning to the Wildwoods Convention Center January 7th through 8th with over 80 vendors. Doors open at 9. Admission is $7 for adults, $3 for kids 6 to 13, and under 5 is free. Visit fishingexpowildwood.com.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
2:42 on a Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill. We're counting down the days. Eagles play on Christmas Eve against the Cowboys. Sixers play on Christmas Day against the Knicks. You're going to hear both games right here on 97.3 ESPN. Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City joins Mike Gill every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday throughout the year. And he will join us now here on 97.3 ESPN. Mike, welcome back in. How you doing today?
Hey, Josh, how are you?
Doing pretty good. So, I haven't talked to you since the latest and greatest with this Jalen Hurts stuff. But what is your thoughts on this whole Jalen Hurts? Should he play? Shouldn't he play stuff?
Well, I think he shouldn't play, right? Because the Eagles need one win in their last 3 games to clinch one of the top, to clinch the number 1 seed. And if he's banged up a little bit, why not give him the week off and allow him to recover? Why risk him going out there? I think right now the Eagles are kind of being tight-lipped about how much he's doing during practice. Maybe they're trying to give the impression out there that, to the Cowboys, the Cowboys prepare for Gardner Minshew and Jalen Hurts, but there's no reason for him to play this Saturday. Again, a short week, give him the full 2 weeks off. You only need to win one of the next 3 games, and there's nothing to say the Eagles can't go down to Dallas and beat the Cowboys with Gardner at quarterback. So I would not play him this week.
Yeah, all of the Cowboys defense's 3 highest points against games, Mike McGarry, have been after the Eagles scored their 26. So whatever the Eagles did in that game, it seems to have exposed Dallas a little bit to the point where between injuries and, whatever else was going on that day, the Jags put up over 500 total yards on them. So maybe this is a good time for the Eagles to be facing Dallas.
Yeah, and, you hear a lot about the Eagles, although I think Jalen Hurts is the front runner for MVP and deserves a large part for the Eagles' success. But, it's still the offensive line. The offensive line is still going to Dallas. The defensive line is still going to Dallas. A.J. Brown's still going to Dallas. Big play Slay is still going to Dallas. They have a lot of talented players. They can survive without their quarterback for a week or two. And they have a pretty good backup in Minshew, so it's not like they're throwing Colt McCoy out there or, any guy that you've never heard of. They're putting a guy out there who's won games in the NFL before. So I just think if Hurts is banged up even a little bit, just give him the rest and make sure he's right for the rest of the season.
Now, what do you say to people like Dan Orlovsky says, yes, you should rest him, but then you should also make sure that he plays at least in the Saints or Giants games to get him some reps before the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very clear on this. If he's healthy, he plays. I mean, I wouldn't take any irrational risks with him this week. But if he's healthy, he plays. He's the quarterback you play. I mean, that's his, I mean, I hear crazy things from Eagles fans, like maybe he shouldn't run the football, maybe he shouldn't do this, maybe he shouldn't do that. No, he plays quarterback. He's a running quarterback. What makes him effective is his ability to run the football and his ability to turn plays that appear to be going nowhere into something with his ability to run. He plays. If you're healthy, you play football. That's what you do. It's like telling me that a plumber who's healthy shouldn't go work on your bathroom pipes. Plumbers do their job. Quarterbacks do their job when healthy.
Now, how many Eagle fans and Cowboy fans you think are going to be completely irrational, though, after this game, right? Maybe a little Christmas eggnog, maybe a little bit, the families around. Because let's be realistic, Mike, the NFC East might be the best division in football right now. And the fact that all four teams are in a position to make the playoffs, it's hard to speak anything ill about any of these teams.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I thought even with Jalen Hurts, this was a tough spot for the Philadelphia Eagles to go down to Dallas and win in Dallas against a talented Cowboys team. You're going to say to yourself, when are the Eagles going to get picked off? Are they a 16-1 team, or are they going to go 15-2? And if they go 15-2, they have to lose one of their next three. Well, where are they going to get picked off? Is it the Saints next week? Is it the Giants? Who knows what that game will mean? But in Dallas on a Christmas Eve night, in a game that although Dallas is kind of locked into that number 5 seed, they might need this game for their psyche after what happened last week against Jacksonville. So, again, I thought this was, even with Jalen Hurts, this was a tough spot for the Eagles.
Speaking of the other two teams in the NFC East, Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City joining us here on a Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash at AC Press McGarry on Twitter. I got to tell you, Mike, I think the road for the Giants right now is a lot easier. And I'm not just saying because you're on the show, Mike. I'm saying it because people forget, watch us go to San Francisco next week. And I argue San Francisco has the best defense in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Giants are playing a Vikings team whose defense probably would give up yards to you and me.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants put themselves in good position with that win Sunday night, but still they're the Giants, and I don't think you can take anything for granted. I mean, and they do have the Colts this week, right? And then at Minnesota and then the Eagles. So you think, one more win should do it for them. But again, they're the Giants, and I don't think you can take anything for granted. You are right that Washington, has a tough schedule, and Seattle, which is the other team, has some tough games in there. And let's not, Detroit is sort of sprinting to the finish line here. They're 7-7, and they beat the Giants a couple of weeks ago, so they would get the tiebreaker. So, but I think that tie against Washington and that win in Washington is going to what gets the Giants over the finish line.
By the way, how crazy is the final week of the season? Lions, Packers might be for a playoff spot if things play out.
Right. Packers are another team that's coming on all of a sudden. So, yeah, I mean, the Giants right now are leading that horse race, but they're not exactly looking like Secretariat getting to the finish line here. So.
I mean, it's absolutely wild that we had one playoff spot and it adds a whole nother level of intrigue. It's just disappointing that the Bucs are so bad this year that it's kind of like it puts a damper on the whole thing. Like, you kind of would wish that Tom Brady and the Bucs would be a little better than 6-8.
Well, I mean, again, I think with the divisions that you have, and a couple of years ago, the NFC East was this division, right? You're always going to have a division, I think, that sort of lags behind the others. And you might have a 7-9 or a 7-10 team this year get in and make the playoffs. I think you're always going to have one decision. You hope they can at least finish 500, but you're always going to have one division where 8-8 or 9-8 or 7-10 is going to get in.
Mike, of all the teams in the playoff conversation right now in the NFC East, what is the team that you have the least faith in a playoff game?
Interesting question there. I mean, I guess it would have to be the Giants or the Commanders basically go. I mean, they would be on the road against a pretty good team. I believe the Giants, if the playoffs were this week, the Giants would be in San Francisco against that defense. You have to figure out that San Francisco would figure out a way to win that football game. So I think it would be the Giants and Commanders only because of the opposition they're going to face. I mean, it looks like Dallas is going to have to end up going to Tampa Bay. And, that's a good matchup for the Cowboys. It's a rematch of the, the opening game of the season, I guess, where Tampa went in there and beat them. But, I would like Dallas in that rematch, especially with the way Tampa's playing right now. So I guess it would have to be the Giants.
I mean, that was also an ugly opening week of the season. I mean, there was barely any points scored in that game. Mike, let's flip over to the Sixers are going for their 8th straight home win tonight. So is the home court advantage back for the 76ers?
Well, I think the schedule is back for the 76ers, and they were able, give them credit. They had to put together a streak during this home stretch, and they've done it. But you know who else has 8 wins in a row is the New York Knicks, Josh, and they've also done it on the road, beating Chicago twice on the road, beating Indiana, and coming home last night to Madison Square Garden and taking apart the Golden State Warriors. So it looks like, noon on Christmas Day, we could be getting a pretty interesting basketball game with 2 teams playing as well as anybody in the NBA right now in the Knicks and the 76ers.
By the way, the Knicks just went to overtime a few games ago. The Sixers have been to 2 overtimes in this home stretch here. So I don't know what it is about these guys that go into overtime, but it seems like a new thing.
Well, it's the NBA. So, on any given night. But the important thing is to just sort of pull those games out. And both teams are getting good performances. I was thinking last night, Josh, who actually has the better roster, the Sixers or the Knicks? If you're going to choose up players, obviously you would take Embiid first. But if I gave you the next 2 picks, who are the next 2 guys you're taking? Because I might take Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle next ahead of James Harden.
I can never take Julius Randle ahead of Harden because I think Julius Randle has shown us that he comes up small in some very big moments.
And James Harden hasn't? Check out James Harden's playoff record.
James Harden's also won a league. James Harden's also won a league MVP.
This is the James Harden who took how many shots against the Miami Heat in the second half of Game 6 last May? I believe it was 2.
Listen, I'm sure we can go through Julius Randle's game record and pick apart those games too.
I mean, I'm just saying, I think the rosters of these teams are not as far apart. Obviously, Embiid is the crown jewel, as Brett Brown used to call him, ahead of everybody. But if you start looking at other guys on the roster, Jalen Brunson has just played tremendously over.
I agree with you on that
during this stretch. RJ Barrett has come on for the Knicks. So I think it's just interesting to look at the roster and see who has a better go of it. But either way, both teams right now are as hot as anybody in the NBA, and they'll play noon on Christmas Day. So that's an entertaining matchup.
If you asked me to pick between RJ Barrett and Julius Randle, I'd take RJ Barrett.
Well, I would maybe long term, but not right now.
I'm just saying, I'm just not a fan of a guy who has had some weird stretches of games. I agree with you, though. I think Brunson is playing at such a high level right now. And by the way, we forget he's only 26 years old. He could potentially get better in the next 3 years in New York.
Yeah, he's been what the Knicks haven't had for years, and that is a quality point guard. Even when they were good in the 90s, were not great in the backcourt. They had Charlie Ward and Doc Rivers played back there. I mean, Brunson has really sort of exploded. He had 21 last night, but he had 30 a couple of games ago, and has really sort of been exactly what the Knicks needed out of that spot. It's just good to see both teams. While the Sixers have played well the past couple of seasons, it's good to see the Knicks sort of riding themselves, and at least for the moment, playing well.
At AC Press McGarry on Twitter. Check out all of his coverage of all the sports over at pressofatlanticcity.com. Mike, appreciate you jumping on today, and we'll talk soon.
All right, talk to you later, Josh.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN. By the way, Mike mentioned the roster. I will say this about the Knicks. They have an interesting roster. I'm not going to go with them and say they're better than the Sixers, though. Although I feel like their roster of the Knicks was built by a guy playing video games. Because you got multiple guys from Villanova, 3 guys from Duke. You got, 2 guys from Kentucky, 2 guys from Nova. Like, I feel like the people who built this roster just only saw, like, certain teams in college or something. I know that's not what happened. That's what it looks like on paper. Let's get the latest from Eagles practice coming up next. John McMullen, Eagles insider from JAKIB Media, joined us to give us the latest on who was at Eagles practice today.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Here's Tobias on a straight line drive. Harris right down the lane with a 2-hand stub. Whoa, Dwayne Casey not too enthralled with that.
It's Sixers Pistons tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
Are you looking for a truly unique experience? Sweetwater Marine and Riverdeck is just the place. They feature roll-up garage doors to merge the indoor and outdoor space for the nice weather. You'll love to sit on their lawn at one of their picnic tables overlooking the Mullica River at sunset. Whether you're looking to have a nice casual dinner with a family or enjoy live music with friends, it's always a great time at the Riverdeck. Your dream day at Sweetwater Marine and Riverdeck will be nothing short of amazing. Visit SweetwaterRiverdeck.com for more info on their upcoming events and daily hours. That's SweetwaterRiverdeck.com.
Where does the magic of the holidays come from? The North Pole? Maybe. Sugar plum fairies? Probably not. At Walgreens, we know that magic comes from you. It's the halls you deck from wall to wall, the wonderful gifts under your tree, and the holly jolly parties you throw. So dash into your local Walgreens. We'll be here to help every merry little step of the way. Because when you're ready to spread the holiday cheer, it's not magic, it's Walgreens. This week, number 7 star of the show gift sets are 50% off. Select styles available while supplies last.
Hey, Pete, how's business? It's great. Foot traffic's still way down, but more people are finding me online.
Nice. How'd you pull that off?
Well, the first thing I did was go to mylocalcustomers.com to see exactly how many searches there were for businesses like mine.
So I guess there were a lot?
Yeah, there were hundreds of local searches every month. So after I saw that, they helped me position my business online to get in front of those customers.
That's awesome. I wonder how many people are searching for my services around here.
Well, it's quick and easy to get the answer. Plus, it's free. Just go to mylocalcustomers.com to find out. If there are a lot of searches, you should definitely get in front of them. If there aren't, no harm, no foul.
Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free local customer analysis that will show you how many customers are searching online for your type of business. It's quick, easy, and free. Visit mylocalcustomers.com. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, how Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
This holiday ad will be over in 27 seconds. Unlike the new Duracell battery with Power Boost ingredients that can last 19,976 seconds in your kid's RC motorcycle, or 6,801 seconds on your beard trimmer for this year's family photo, or 15,172 seconds on your electric frother for some holiday eggnog, and many more seconds to get more out of your holiday season. Duracell, unlike this ad, engineered for more.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Looking for some holiday cash? Then don't miss Matt Blatt Nissan's holiday vehicle buyback. It doesn't matter what you drive. AJ, the trade man, wants to buy your vehicle today. Regardless of the make, miles, condition, or situation, AJ will buy your ride for cash today. So treat yourself to a brand new Nissan Rogue. 0 down, 0 payments, 0 interest on every new Matt Blatt Nissan Rogue. That's a brand new Nissan with 0% financing for 36 months, 0 payments for 45 days, and 0 money down. And AJ says you'll get more cash than you think and drive away with peace of mind, because only Matt Blatt Nissan has a 4-day love it or leave it return policy. MattBlattNissan.com. Rate qualifications exist with approved credit. $27.78 per thousand financed. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. Rate qualifications exist. Not all will qualify. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 12/31/2022. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
A town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is 97.3 ESPN, home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
He is hit. He stumbles. He's down.
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Blatt Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Eagles on the practice field today. What is the latest from the NovaCare facility? John McMullen, Eagles Insider with JAKIB Media, joins us now. He does each Monday through Thursday here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. John, I hope you've warmed up a bit. How you doing?
A little bit chilly, but, after Chicago, it doesn't seem as bad.
Yeah, after you got pierced by the cold, now just the regular cold is not so bad.
Exactly. I'm sure it'll bounce back. And, you get used to your environment and vice versa.
So, the big news of practice, it looks like, is that Jalen Hurts did not practice, which pretty much puts the idea of him playing this Saturday almost like a confirmation of what we all thought previously, correct?
Yeah, he's not going to play. I've said that from the start. Now the Eagles are still going to take this down to the wire. They're going to play these games, and I think it's kind of silly, but they're a big competitive advantage team, and they're not the only one. That's sort of how the modern NFL handles things, but it's pretty clear that Gardner Minshew is going to be the quarterback against the Cowboys, and it should be. There's no need. Once Dallas blew that 17-point lead against Jacksonville, this game became much less important for Philadelphia. They have a magic number essentially of 1, so remember, it's 1 Eagles win or 1 Cowboys loss along the way, and they win the NFC East and have the number 1 seed. So if they needed the game, if it was at paramount, which it would have been, to be honest, if the Cowboys win that game, I think we might be having a different conversation, but it would be a little bit silly to put Jalen Hurts in harm's way at this point.
At practice, one of the guys who did practice, who was on the injury list yesterday, was Kavon Wallace. So, how healthy are the Eagles aside from Jalen Hurts looking heading into this game?
Yeah, pretty healthy. When you compare it to most teams in the NFL, they've been pretty healthy all season, to be honest. There's been even the more major injuries, like C.J. Gardner-Johnson and the lacerated kidney, and guys who have to go on injured reserve. They haven't been season-ending injuries. So for the most part, this is a pretty healthy team when you talk about Week 16 in the NFL typically, and A.J. Brown talked about that yesterday. everybody's banged up at this point. But the fact that the Eagles have most of their players ready to go, and it's been that way for the vast majority of the season. Dallas Goedert's another one who had to go on IR, but he's back. So it overall, it's been a pretty good season when it comes to injuries in the Eagles.
I thought that one of the guys that I think is interesting that I see that is out there is Reed Blankenship. I think having him back for the defense is very important, John.
Yeah, it's definitely important. I mean, Reed played well in place of CJ when he was forced into the lineup, and obviously, you know, when he hurt his knee, it was the Eagles kind of feared it was going to be a season ender. I just talked about they kind of got lucky there, and it looks like he's only going to miss one game, and he should be back for this one, and that's important because you mentioned Kayvon Wallace is banged up, and just in general, if you think about what the Eagles did at safety in Chicago and sort of going about it piecemeal. Vontae Maddox playing safety and base defense, and then putting him down in nickel corner. I think a lot of people, and I was one of them, to be honest, said, "Hey, that's pretty good stuff. That's a nice curveball." But you also have to realize the opponent played into that, and the fact that Justin Fields is not really at this stage a huge passing threat, and they were able to get away with it. Obviously, Dallas is a much better offense, much better team, and you probably couldn't get away with things like that this week. So to have is certainly bigger for this week.
John, I mentioned this earlier. I wanted to bring it up to you here, and that is after the Eagles scored 26 points against the Dallas defense, their next three highest scoring games that were scored on them were all after the Eagles game. So between the injuries they have and there being more tape on how to expose them, is it fair to say that the Dallas defense can be had at this point?
Yeah, I think every defense can be had, to be honest. And that's, you know, the Eagles, even San Francisco, Dallas. I mean, I think the biggest change in the modern NFL as opposed to the old school NFL, you know, old school was good defense beats good offense. And now it's the exact opposite. So if you have a really good offense and you can block people, you can score on anybody in this league. And that bodes well for the Eagles, obviously, with their offensive line.
John McMullen from Birds 365 on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, joining us live here on a Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. John, both Gannon and Steichen were both complimentary of Gardner Minshew. What is your perspective on Minshew heading into Saturday's game?
Well, he's a very good backup. So I do think, you know, most teams have a pretty significant drop-off when they have to go to their backups. Gardner's better than the average backup. I think he's probably a top 5 backup in this league. You saw it last year when he was forced into action against the Jets, and he completed 20 of 25 passes. Really had a nice chemistry going with Dallas Goedert. So I think people are going to be surprised. You know, he's got extensive starting experience with Jacksonville. I think his touchdown to interception ratio is about 41 to 15. So he can play. He's not Jalen Hurts, but he can play.
John, the talk out of Dallas right now, before I let you go this week, according to reports, has been they don't care who the Eagles quarterback is because they got to work on their own stuff, we'll call it, just to censor it for, you know, radio here. What is your perspective on Dallas heading into the final 3 games of the season? Because for most of the year, when we talk about the best teams in the NFC, Dallas has been in that conversation.
Yeah, they got to right the ship defensively. No doubt about it, as they've been sort of leaking oil. And I think it surprises people. You know, they lost their one of their starting corners, Noah Brown, opposite Trayvon Diggs, obviously. And they haven't done a good job replacing him. But the pass rush has been, and I got to go, Josh, after this because they're opening the locker room. But
Absolutely.
The pass rush has been very effective for the team, kind of stable. So that part of it, they got to get back to what they usually are.
John, I'll let you go. Thanks for jumping on and making time today.
All right. Thanks, Josh.
And you catch John tomorrow morning on Birds 365, him and Jody Mack on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. So let's recap some of the things John said there here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. We'll dig deeper into the latest with the Eagles, and we'll have the injury report officially in about an hour from now when we are joined by Adam Caplan for football at 4. A couple things I think was interesting that John said. Number one, he talked about how in today's NFL, every defense can be had, and how it used to be that if you had a great defense, you know, you're going to win a lot of games. And in today's sport, you need a good defense, but you know, there's not as many great defenses anymore because teams can be had. And part of the reason why they can be had is the structure of these offenses are just completely different than they used to be years ago. You know, years ago, the average NFL offense was built on three things. You know, a good offensive line, run the ball, and the quarterback, the passing game was basically came off of what you did in the run game, right? And then it evolved to the West Coast offense where you spread the field more. You had more options on the offensive side of the field. You made the defense have to chase you around a little bit more. But the defenses still found ways to shut guys down because the majority of quarterbacks were not mobile. Today's quarterback, even a quarterback like Justin Herbert, who is not an elite athlete in comparison to like a Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts, even he is still mobile and can get out of the pocket and get away from pressure. So I think that there is something to be said for the fact that when you have a situation with a defense like the Cowboys that gave up 503 yards last week, that's missing one of their starting cornerbacks, Micah Parsons, who has not been as impactful in recent weeks, it's because teams are game planning for it, and the Cowboys got to make adjustments. And, you know, look, I said I had to censor it because, you know, Jaron Kearse, their safety in the Cowboys locker room, basically said yesterday, we got to clean this stuff up. And he's right. You know, you played the Eagles and you gave up 26 points. It was the most points Cowboys given up at that point in the season. 3 of their next 8 games. No, it was 3 of the next 7, I'm sorry, were all games that they gave up more points and more yards than the Eagles game. When teams have tape on you, they're going to expose you. And I think John brought up a great point that, you know, it's a game of strategy. It's a game of manipulating situations. And Gardner Minshew is walking into a situation where he can still be successful, where he can still play well, because he has arguably the best offensive line in the NFL, because he has one of the best receiving cores that in the NFL overall, maybe the best, depending on who you ask. And Dallas Goedert is returning back. And even if Dallas Goedert is only 80 to 90% of what he used to be, 80 to 90% of Dallas Goedert is still better than like 75% of the NFL. So to me, I think that, you know, the Cowboys are not a impossible team to beat. And I'm happy personally to see that you have an environment in Philadelphia where you are looking at the Cowboys and saying, hey, whether it's Minshew or whether it is Hurts, we can beat these guys. Our goal is to win and win big. And I think that's a huge part of the conversation moving forward. We'll get to the text board in just a bit. 609-403-0973 is the text board. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea City. Eagles NFL talk here on 97.3 ESPN, being brought to you by Jenkins and Sons. One call does it all. No need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, the plumbing guy. Jenkins technicians got you covered. From heating and air installation, service and maintenance, boilers, water heaters, leaks, whatever you have going on in your house, plumbing, heating, air conditioning, Jenkins technicians is who you call at 609-641-6262 and online at jenkinsandsons.com. Texter chimes in over at 609-403-0973. Says, John McMullen thinks everyone is leaking oil. Well, he's not wrong, Texter, because this time of year, everyone is injured. Everyone has had their flaws exposed we're in week 16 right now, the NFL season. So that means you had 15 weeks of other teams getting game tape on you, exposing you, and then injuries are piling up. So, in a literal sense, yes, everyone is leaking oil. But I think, maybe from your perspective, I think that you're right, though, that John sees that every team has flaws and they're amplified in his eyes. So maybe for someone like me, I don't look at it as intently as John does. I see what a team like the 49ers do. I see what the 49ers do on defense, what Dallas is doing on offense. I think Dallas deserves a lot of credit for Saturday's game, because while their defense failed them over and over again, you know what they did do well? Their offense played well, considering the fact that they are without their starting right tackle basically for the rest of the year. They're moving guys around the offensive line, and that's an offense that went out there and had almost 400 total yards themselves and put up 34 points. And, the Cowboys players have admitted that, look, if our offense scores 34 points, we should win that game. This is the same Cowboys team that barely beat the Texans the week before. But you look at the Dallas Cowboys since their bye week and since the loss to Green Bay. They've scored 40, 28, 54, 27, 34 in games. I think the Dallas offense is doing their job for the most part. I think overall, you look at Dallas's offense and you realize that almost every game since their bye week, they've gotten around 400 total yards of offense. So right now, it's the defense that is the eyesore for Dallas. The 49ers are the opposite. Their defense looks amazing and incredible, but their offense is Brock Purdy out there. And if Deebo Samuel or Christian McCaffrey are not healthy for a playoff run, that's a problem. The Vikings had to have the largest comeback in NFL history to beat the Colts last weekend. Their offense found a way to get the job done, and you give them a ton of credit for not quitting on their team, not quitting on their coach, not quitting on each other, not giving up. But at the same time, you still got down, 32, 33, nothing in that game. That's a definite eyesore as well. And look, you even heard Mike McGarry say in the last hour, he doesn't have a ton of faith in the Giants right now. He still needs to see them get into the playoffs where he believes it's real. Because guess what? There is a scenario for the Giants to get to the 5 seed. There's a real chance that happens. Look at the Giants' schedule down the stretch. The Giants play a Minnesota team this week. They got to host the Colts next week. And then the Eagles last week of the season. There's a chance the Giants win all 3 games. Now, there's also a chance the Giants don't win all 3 games. And they lose to the Vikings, let's say. Let's say Nick Foles beats the Giants. The Giants could be out of the playoffs. If the Giants lose 2 out of their final 3 games, they're out. They need to win 2 out of 3 to get in. And the biggest problem with the Giants is also injuries. They are banged up and injured right now. And frankly, if it wasn't for Kevon Thibodeau having one of the greatest games of his life on Sunday Night Football. Does Dallas even, do the Cowboys actually, do the Giants actually beat Washington on Sunday Night Football? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. So, John thinking everyone's leaking oil. He's not wrong. It's not far-fetched to say that. I think that you can nitpick every team right now in the NFL. And I think if you want to find something negative with any team, Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, Washington, you can find something. Bryan in Upper Township asks, when does CJ Gardner-Johnson come back? Bryan, we don't have any official announcement on CJ Gardner-Johnson's status. From what I understand, the Eagles are being extra cautious with him. Everything I've read and heard is that he is basically out until further notice, basically. Yes, he's on the injured list, so he has to miss 4 games minimum before he can come back. But I think that it's fair to say that there is a real possibility that you don't see CJ again until the postseason. I think that is not a far-fetched thing. Now, there's obviously an opportunity for him to come back before then, because he's already missed the Titans, the Giants, and the Bears games. The Cowboys game will be his 4th game he has to miss. So he could come back for the Saints game or the Giants game. But, that lacerated kidney thing, if you go by the people who are the medical experts, they all say the same thing. Everybody recovers at a different speed, at a different rate. So I'm going to go off the idea, Bryan Upper Township, that I think that CJ will be back before the end of the regular season. We just don't know if it's going to be the Saints or Giants game yet. Because you want to get a few reps out there, get his body, back on the field before the playoffs. By the way, we were talking about weather a little bit earlier in the show. Jeff in Ocean City says, by the way, they say this will be the coldest Christmas in 33 years. Well, after I saw that text from Jeff in Ocean City, I had to pull up my little weather bug over here. So right now, it's supposed to be high of 54 tomorrow, high of 50 on Friday, dropping down to 25 on Saturday, and then 28 on Sunday. So I guess when they say it's starting to feel a lot like Christmas, they weren't joking. But you get that rainy warm up for a few days there. And I got to tell you, I am not a fan of humidity. So the sooner that rain gets out of here, the easier I'll sleep. And I know that for sure. I can deal with the cold. The humidity's always driven me nuts. I don't know about you guys, but humidity is a no bueno situation for me. So, all right, we'll get more into football coming up next. As I said, we got football at 4. Adam Caplan joining us today from the Inside the Birds podcast. He will join us coming up at 4 p.m. with more on the Eagles. Looking back one more time on the Bears game as we continue to look forward to the Cowboys game. It is Dallas week. Eagles in Dallas this week. Also, still to come on the show, we have Dave Weinberg. He joins me each week for a Weinberg Wednesday on Game Night. He is joining us at 4:40 tonight. And then more Sixers and NBA talk. I'm going to ask Bryan Toporek the same question that Mike McGarry asked me earlier in the show. Mike McGarry asked, who has the better roster? Is it the Knicks? Is it the Sixers? I mean, McGarry's taking Julius Randle over James Harden. I can't do that. Listen, I'll give you Jalen Brunson, but I ain't giving you Randle over Harden. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll ask Bryan Toporek from the NBA podcast a little bit later in the show. And as always, more of your texts coming up. 609-403-0973 is the text board. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
Get the gift of 97.3 ESPN this year for Christmas. It's cheaper than gift cards.
Merry Christmas!
Just tell a friend to download the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free in the Apple Store or Google Play.
Merry Christmas!
Up at the dealership, people pause. Out comes good old trade-in clause. The perfect time of year to upgrade your ride. Trade in your car while the values are high.
Bring any trade to Matt Blatt Kia and drive home in a brand new Kia, even with 0 down and 0% APR financing for 36 months. Don't see your new Kia on the lot today? That doesn't mean you can't drive it home tomorrow with peace of mind. Matt Blatt Kia's exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy. So if you have a job clearing $350 per week at Matt Blatt Kia, you're virtually approved. So why pay more when you can pay 0% with 0 down?
Ho, ho, ho. Boys, we're going to Matt Blatt Kia.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Requalifications exist with approved credits. $27.78 per thousand financed on in-stock 2023 Sorento Hybrid. Not all will qualify. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-506-4132. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 12/31/22. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 and Tom's River.
Tax refund advance loans at Jackson Hewitt, up to $4,500. Details at jacksonhewitt.com. Eligible clients can get up to $1,000 in December and up to $3,500 in January. Loans by Republic Bank and Trust. Finance charge may apply.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. Well, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or just go to eBay Motors and get it right the first time. With over 122 million parts, they have the parts that fit your vehicle. Air filters, tires, headlights, brakes, and more. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
The holidays are here. Achieve gifting greatness when you give perfectly aged, tender, delicious Omaha steaks. The steak experts at Omaha Steaks have curated special gift packages to take the guesswork out of gifting and make you a holiday hero. Go to omahasteaks.com and take advantage of 50% off site-wide. Plus, use code SIZZLE at checkout to get an additional $40 off your order. Send an assortment of mouthwatering favorites guaranteed to impress, like the legendary Butcher's Cut Filet Mignon, air-chilled boneless chicken, ultra-juicy burgers, even easy-to-prepare, ready-in-a-flash comfort meals. Omaha Steaks is ready to ship your order right away, so shop early and beat the shipping rush. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code SIZZLE at checkout. Omaha Steaks is a gift from the heart, remembered with every unforgettable bite. Order with complete confidence today, knowing you're ordering the very best. Visit omahasteaks.com, get 50% off site-wide, plus use promo code SIZZLE at checkout to get that extra $40 off your order. Minimum order may be required.
I miss my baby. Someone stole my baby. By the way, my baby is my landscaping truck that was literally stolen from a job site. Baby, won't you please come home?
Owning a small business isn't always as lovely as it sounds, but with 30-plus customizable coverage options, Progressive Commercial keeps your business humming along. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
I love my sweetheart. By the way, that's my riding lawnmower.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage and discounts not available for all vehicles or states. Policy terms and conditions apply.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, how Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
With GMF financing, to qualify buyers excludes Corvette.
It may be cold outside, but the deals are smoking at Bennett Chevrolet. It's our red-hot clear-the-lot year-end sale. While they last, everybody gets GM supplier employee pricing on new Chevys. That's right, everybody pays what our supplier employees pay and not a penny more. Even when other dealers are selling for thousands over sticker, Bennett is selling at GM supplier employee prices. But hurry, this incredible deal is on new Chevys and they will sell out fast. Save even more with rates as low as 3.99%. And every pre-owned's on sale too. This may sound unbelievable, but Bennett's paying a minimum $10,000 for the worst clunkers towards any pre-owned in stock. Yes, a minimum $10,000 for total Imagine how much you'll get for a trade that actually runs. And our non-commissioned sales team is paid not on how much you spend, but on your satisfaction. So you know you will be satisfied. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Josh Hennig back here filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash. Sports Bash being brought to you by the Gallery Bar, Booking Games and Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Go to the Gallery and Ocean Casino Resort to go for the win. For more information, visit oceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. By the way, for anybody who cares, Feliz Navidad is my favorite Christmas song of the traditional set that everybody likes to play. I always wonder, like, for people, I feel like there's two kinds of people with Christmas. There's the secular Christmas people, and then there's the religious Christmas people. There's the people who are all about, like, they like Christmas because of Frosty the Snowman and Santa Claus and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and all that nostalgia. And then there's the people who Christmas is very meaningful to them because of their faith, because they believe in Jesus, because they go to church, because whatever they're leaning on, for Christmas. So, it's one of the things where, like, you're always having to like I'm the guy who always says Merry Christmas, right? I'm not really a Happy Holidays guy because I feel like, the person who says Happy Holidays is also probably the person who ignores Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. But I feel like it's always a balancing act between the secular Christmas people and the faith-based Christmas people. It's always like this, like, back and forth, you got to be like, this person probably is more of a, Jingle Bell Rock person than they are a Joy to the World person, or someone might be a Nat King Cole, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, more than a, Christmas and Hollis, by Run DMC person. So it's always like a back and forth this time of year. And it's always interesting to watch people's different reactions to these things. By the way, earlier today, for those who didn't see the news, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the point that, somebody texted earlier. They didn't leave their name, so I'm just going to read their text. They said the NL East is on fire. They texted this at 12:04 today to the text board. Guys, you can text us anytime. We'll see your text. If it's worthwhile, we'll bring it up. 609-403-0973 is the text board. Somebody said the NL East is on fire. It's going to be a hot, hot summer in 2023. The Mets, the Braves, and the Phillies at division should be rocking. Let's go. It's definitely going to be interesting. For those who didn't see, Carlos Correa basically in the middle of the night changed his commitment. We'll use the college football term. It's time of year people are making commitments, National Signing Day, all that kind of stuff. Carlos Correa apparently is going to be a Giant, but then there was some medical issue, and now he's a Met. So the Mets prospectively are going to have Correa at third base and Lindor at second. Talk about an athletic side of the infield. So, yeah, you're right. The Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves are going to be absolute fire this year. And there's a strong possibility that just like this past season, all three of them make it into the playoffs. It's exciting. It's interesting. But, like, here's the problem with talking baseball in December. You get excited for, like, 48 hours. Like when Trey Turner was signed, then they had the press conference. By that weekend, I felt like nobody cared anymore. And I feel like the same thing's going to happen this weekend. Mets fans are celebrating right now, but when Saturday and Sunday come along, you know what you're going to be interested in? If you're a Giants fan, you're going to be there. You're a Knicks fan, you're going to be watching them play the Sixers. By the time this week comes around, Carlos Correa is just going to be, another stocking stuffer for you. That's the problem with baseball. Baseball has tried. They really tried to be a year-round sport in terms of news and different things. It just doesn't happen. just not happening for these guys. I mentioned it earlier in the show. Couple of football news items. First of all, again, thoughts and prayers to Franco Harris and his family and friends. Franco Harris passes away at the age of 72. Literally days before the 50th anniversary of one of the most famous plays of football, his play, the Immaculate Reception. And it was supposed to be this weekend that, Franco Harris is going to be, at the Steelers game. They're going to honor him. They were going to retire his 32 and all that stuff. And it's just sad that he's gone. The guy's one of the true good guys of the sport. He's one of the, real best players for both the Steelers and Penn State history. It's not every day you have a guy who's one of the best players in his college's history and one of the best players in his pro team's history. And you could argue that if you really broke it down to who are the top 10 running backs in NFL history, that he has to be in that conversation. We always talk about, Emmitt Smith, Jim Brown, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton. People love to bring up Eric Dickerson. People love to, mention all these different guys. If you're an older gentleman, maybe you bring up O.J. Simpson, right? And Earl Campbell. If you're a younger guy, you'll point to Curtis Martin and LaDainian Tomlinson. But Franco Harris, his numbers are right there with all of those guys. And you could make the argument that he was the best player on those Steeler teams that won those Super Bowls. There's a strong argument to be made that Franco Harris was the best football player on those teams. There may have been guys who were amazing athletes like Lynn Swann and Mean Joe Green, who were phenomenal athletes. But Franco Harris was in many ways, one of the hearts and souls of that team. And because he played on a team that was wall-to-wall Hall of Famers, it gets overlooked that Franco Harris had an amazing career that it's going to be hard to touch. I mean, this is a guy who had over 12,000 rushing yards. This is a guy who, for his NFL career, is 11th in rushing touchdowns. He's 15th in rushing yards. And let's not forget that he was somebody who was incredibly productive, incredibly athletic. In the postseason alone for his career, he had 16 rushing touchdowns in the postseason. 16 rushing touchdowns in 19 playoff games is amazing as well. So he wasn't just a regular season stats guy. He was an all-around stats guy. And in an era where the running back, didn't get the recognition for the passing game and the run blocking that they do, or the pass blocking they do today, Harris actually was able to do that too. All right. People don't know that, Franco Harris had 2,200 receiving yards in his career and 9 receiving touchdowns. So, no offense to Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell was a bit of a one-trick pony. He was just a downhill, run you over guy. Franco could do a little bit of everything. So definitely a sad day with Franco Harris passing away. The Steelers, great. Penn State, great. So definitely a shame to see him pass away. Before they could even celebrate with him for the Immaculate Reception and retire his number. I think that's the biggest lesson to be taken from that game. And it's the situation with Franco Harris, I should say. And that is 50 years, he didn't retire his number. And then all of a sudden, he's no longer here. It's just another example how in the world we live in today, you got to appreciate who's in front of you. We spend so much of our lives complaining and crying about what we don't have. We're not thankful for what we do have. We spend so much time on social media seeing what other people have in their lives that we should also appreciate the people we have in our lives and be thankful for, that coworker who's thoughtful toward you, or be thankful for your family that you have, or be grateful when you see, someone who had an impact on your life, or someone who had a great life and career when you see them out in public. I just think that Franco Harris is another example of, if you wait too long to appreciate somebody and tell them what you feel about them, you may miss your opportunity. There's no reason why Franco Harris is 32 shouldn't have been retired sooner. There's no reason why they shouldn't have celebrated his immaculate reception play even more. But Franco Harris passes away at the age of 72 before they can do those things. It's just a shame. It's really a shame. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. I see some text coming in about Franco Harris. I'll read all your texts coming up on the other side. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. 3:41 on a Wednesday. Don't forget, about 20 minutes from now, Adam Caplan, NFL Insider from the Inside Birds podcast for Football at 4.
There's never an off season for the NFL. It's Football at 4 every day at 4 p.m. on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Looking for some holiday cash? Then don't miss Matt Blatt Nissan's holiday vehicle buyback. It doesn't matter what you drive. AJ the Trademan wants to buy your vehicle today, regardless of the make, miles, condition, or situation. AJ will buy your ride for cash today. So treat yourself to a brand new Nissan Rogue. 0 down, 0 payments, 0 interest on every new Matt Blatt Nissan Rogue. That's a brand new Nissan with 0% financing for 36 months, 0 payments for 45 days, and 0 money down. And AJ says you'll get more cash than you think and drive away with peace of mind, because only Matt Blatt Nissan has a 4-day love it or leave it return policy. MattBlattNissan.com. Rate qualifications exist with approved credit. $27.78 per thousand financed. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. Rate qualifications exist. Not all will qualify. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 12/31/2022. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
At the Home Depot, we have the tools to make gift-giving magic for all the DIYers on your list. If they prefer working on real homes over gingerbread houses, you can't go wrong with Makita Power Tools, like the 18-volt 2-tool kit for only $249, or the 18-volt compact circular saw for only $139. Get everything you need to get it done with new lower prices on Makita Power Tools only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Here's to Prilosec OTC. Without Prilosec, I wouldn't be able to enjoy all this yummy holiday food. Speaking of, whoever made that apple pie, delicious. I just take 1 pill each morning and 0 heartburn all day. So cheers to Prilosec OTC. Ooh, are those jalapeno poppers?
Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid that can cause heartburn, so you can enjoy the holidays. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Some people are easily moved.
Wasn't that just the saddest movie ever?
Whatever. Others, not so much.
Oh, look at the puppies!
Just dogs, but smaller, so what? But even those who aren't easily moved.
Look, your long-lost brother's been found!
Oh, hi, Mike. Can be moved by us. Yeah, we're that good.
Use Clark's Moving and Storage in Rio Grande for your next local or long-distance move. Visit Clark's Moving and Storage online at clarksmoving.net.
Are you ready? The Christmas countdown's on at JCPenney. Through Saturday, use your coupon and dash away with very merry savings on last-minute gifts across the store, like fine jewelry stocking stuffers up to 70% off after coupon, and save up to 50% on comfy, stylish outerwear for the whole fam. Add curbside pickup to make your trip extra quick. We got your holiday. JCPenney. Offers good on select items through 12/24. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Miller Lite is the light beer brewed for people who love the taste of beer. For those who are always the first to volunteer for beer runs, who hit up tailgates for sports that they don't even like, And believe having a beer fridge in the garage is non-negotiable. It's a 96-calorie, 3.2 carb love letter to beer lovers who know that the best part of beer is the beer part. Miller Lite. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2022 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin beer.
Have you been naughty or nice this year? Cash don't care. At Jackson Hewitt, you could still get up to $4,500 for the holidays. Some bucks now, more bucks in January. So be naughty. Snap up all the ginger snaps. Wear a pretty sweater to an ugly sweater holiday party. You could still get up to $4,500 when you go to Jackson Hewitt today. Details at jacksonhewitt.com. Eligible clients can get up to $1,000 in December and up to $3,500 in January. Loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Finance charge may apply.
See the red tag. Save a lot of green at the Bridgeton Chevrolet Buick GMC Red Tag event. Get $500 red tag bonus cash on select new models. Plus, make no payments for 90 days. Lease a new 2022 Chevrolet Colorado Crew Cab. $299 a month for 36 months. Plus, get the BAM Advantage. 2 years of scheduled no-cost maintenance. Save now at Bridgeton Chevrolet Buick GMC. Better get to Bridgeton. Find new roads. Payment deferment excludes leases. $2,500 down on all vehicle offers. See dealer for details.
This week at Target, wrap up your holiday shopping with last-minute deals. There's still time to save big on top toys, cool tech, trending beauty, and so much more. And finish your list fast by using free drive-up, free order pickup, and same-day delivery when you order at Target.com or use the Target app. So put a bow on your holiday shopping with last-minute deals at Target. Deals so good, you can holiday your way. Only at Target. Exclusions apply.
The annual Wildwood Fishing and Boating Expo is returning to the Wildwoods Convention Center January 7th through 8th with over 80 vendors. Doors open at 9. Admission is $7 for adults, $3 for kids 6 to 13, and under 5 is free. Visit fishingexpowildwood.com.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
346 here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. As promised, get to some of your messages over on the text board, 609-403-0973. By the way, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Franco Harris is a local guy, too, from Rancocas Valley, South Jersey guy. So more than just a Steelers and Penn State legend. You could probably... I have to do a little more research on this personally, but Franco Harris is probably in the top 10 greatest athletes to come out of New Jersey. I'd have to work on a list of that to see exactly how that list would play out. Maybe Billy Schweim in the locker room. We can assign him with that task. That feels like a Billy Schweim in the locker room list. By the way, Billy Schwein will be on this Saturday on Christmas Eve, 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Over on the text board, 609-403-0973, texter asked if we know how Franco Harris passed away. What is his cause of death? Rest in peace. We don't have an official thing. I don't see anywhere. I know that his son told the Associated Press he died overnight. No cause of death was given at this point in time. That might still be under investigation of what exactly he passed away of. Could be a lot of things, honestly. When you look at somebody when they get to that age, there's a lot of things that affect people's bodies they don't know about. Mixing of medications, not taking your medication when you should. Maybe you're someone who sleeps with a CPAP and the CPAP fell off your face. I mean, again, I'm not saying those are what he passed away of. I'm just saying that, in those situations when someone passes out overnight, typically in their sleep, that's something that could happen there. Jeff over on the text board says, the Mets always get hype before the season. Is Lindor the same player he was 3-4 years ago? Personally, I would take Trey Turner and Alec Boehm over Francisco Lindor and Carlos Correa because I hate the Mets, what Jeff says on the text board. The problem with that statement, Jeff, is you are right. The Mets get a lot of hype every offseason. That's in part because they are in the city of New York. If they were in Milwaukee or they were the Texas Rangers, people wouldn't care. I mean, how many times have the Texas Rangers signed guys and nobody cared? Carlos Correa signed with the Twins last year. Half the world had no idea he was in a Twins uniform. All they knew he wasn't in a Houston Astros uniform anymore. So I think that's part of what the hype is. Of the four players you mentioned, Jeff, I think Trey Turner is the best of the four. Turner, Bohm, Lindor, Correa. I don't know if Bohm is yet better than to put that duo ahead of Lindor and Correa. I think Lindor can still be a good baseball player. I just have to wonder, how much of last year was him, I mean, I don't know. I don't have an answer what happened to Lindor last year. You're right. He's not the player he used to be in terms of statistical production, but batting 270 is still pretty darn good. And he had the most home runs he's had in any season since 2019 last year with 26, 100 RBI. So he still had a very good year last year. I think for now, I would probably take the combo of Lindor and Correa over Turner and Bohm. But in 2 years, that will probably be very different. I think Bohm will be closer to his prime in 2 years, where I think Lindor and Correa are kind of in that age range right now where you're going to get the best you can out of them right here, right now. I think with Bohm, the best is still to come. Jay from Atlantic City says Franco Harris was the third leading rusher in the NFL for quite a long time before some of the more modern running backs began to catch up with him. And Phil out was probably knocking him down on that all-time rushing yards list. Yeah, LaDainian Tomlinson, Emmitt Smith, Curtis Martin, those are all guys who, started passing him on that all-time list. But it doesn't make what Franco Harris did any less, in my opinion. Jay and AC, I think it's a great point you make. He was, when he played, one of the best. And I think you look at the guys who are ahead of him on the rushing list, like Edgerrin James. Edgerrin James was a phenomenal talent. But if you asked me to pick between James and Harris, I'm probably picking Harris. Marshall Faulk's ahead of him. Marshall Faulk's probably a top 10 running back all time because he could catch and run the ball the way he did, how dynamic he was. Jim Brown's considered one of the greatest running backs of all time. Dorsett's considered one of the greatest running backs of all time. I mean, the argument in the 70s was between Dorsett and Harris and Simpson, and then Walter Payton came on in the late 70s. So those are the big running backs of the era. I mean, Eric Dickerson was a phenomenal runner. I don't think Dickerson was as good of a pass blocker as Harris was. I think Harris was a phenomenal pass blocker. Jerome Bettis, one-trick pony. Even though he has more rushing yards than Harris, I would say Harris is probably the better running back. LaDainian Tomlinson arguably is a top 5 running back of all time, so he's definitely up there. Curtis Martin, very well-rounded running back, probably underrated is Curtis Martin. Adrian Peterson almost has 15,000 rushing yards. For a guy who came up in an era where the running back was starting to be less valuable than it used to be, you could argue that AP really maximized what he had to offer when he was on the field. Barry Sanders is up there. I think Barry Sanders might be the greatest running back of all time. It's either him or Walter Payton, in my opinion. Frank Gore, stat compiler, hung around long enough to get 6,000 rushing yards. Very great running back, but I don't think Frank Gore is better than Franco Harris. And of course, top of the rushing yard list is Walter Payton, Emmitt Smith. So if I had to make a count of the guys ahead of Franco on this list, so I would say James Bettis, Gore. I think Harris is definitely better than those three. I think you could make an argument that he is the same, if not better. It's hard with Curtis Martin because Curtis Martin, I think people forget how incredible he was, how dynamic he was. Curtis Martin also became a legit receiving threat out of the backfield during his time with the Jets too. So I think that, Martin is a hard guy. But I think there's at least 3 guys ahead of him on the all-time list of Franco Harris is better than, just because they hung around long enough. It's always hard to compare eras for only one reason in football, and that is the style of play is so different. You look at receivers like Stallworth and Swan, who were Harris's teammates, and you wonder what their stats would have been in another era. Or like, for example, how many more receptions and receiving yards do some of the guys from the 80s and 70s, like Steve Largent, how many yards of receptions does he have if they had the PI rules back then that they do now, right? So some of these stat comparisons, it's hard. So to me, it's about talent, well-rounded football player. And Harris is definitely in that conversation. Rank Otis Valley, Penn State, Pittsburgh Steelers, and then the hot second he was in Seattle, which is always a wild story when I see that brought up by people. All right, coming up next, we get back to the Eagles. What is the latest from the Eagles ahead of their game in Dallas? And one more look back on the Bears win with Adam Caplan, NFL Insider, next on Football at 4 here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles continue the 2022 season Christmas Eve in Dallas against the Cowboys.
And he will not go. Elliott is struck down at the line of scrimmage, and the Cowboys will have to punt.
Pre-game coverage starts at noon with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick calling all the action starting at 1 p.m. This is where the Philadelphia Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagle station.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff. Learn more, live better.
Hosting the holiday gathering? Here are the core 4 food safety tips to keep you and your guests safe from foodborne illness. Clean, separate, cook, and chill. Clean all surfaces and your hands with warm water and soap after preparing each item. Separate raw meat, poultry, seafood, and eggs from other foods. Use one cutting board for fresh produce and a separate one for meat. Cook food to a high enough temperature to kill harmful bacteria. Use a food thermometer and check guidelines for each individual food. Finally, refrigerate foods quickly because cold temperatures slow the growth of harmful bacteria. Avoid overstuffing the refrigerator for better air circulation and keep it at a temperature of 40 degrees or below. If you're the host this holiday, follow the core 4 food safety steps. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life.
Huddle up, people. It's time for the Caesars Sportsbook Report. Caesars has boosts and promos every day, but your very first bet, it's on Caesars, up to $1,250. Sign up using my promo code, RADIOFULL, all one word, RADIOFULL, and then place your first bet with the Caesars Sportsbook app. If you win, the money is all yours. If not, you'll get that stake back as a free bet. Spreads, over-unders, money line, player props, and even futures. How about the Birds to win it all? Or Jalen Hurts for MVP? Or maybe after some key moves this offseason, you're already thinking about the baseball team in Philly to win it all. Bet football, basketball, and more. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. If qualifying bet loses, the bet amount is returned as a credit. Must use within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Caesars Sportsbook. We are all Caesars.
Are you ready? The Christmas countdown's on at JCPenney. Through Saturday, use your coupon and dash away with very merry savings on last-minute gifts across the store, like fine jewelry stocking stuffers up to 70% off after coupon, and save up to 50% on comfy, stylish outerwear for the whole fam. Add curbside pickup to make your trip extra quick. We got your holiday. JCPenney. Offers good on select items through 12/24. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Have you been naughty or nice this year? Cash don't care. At Jackson Hewitt, you could still get up to $4,500 for the holidays. Some bucks now, more bucks in January. So be naughty. Snap up all the ginger snaps. Wear a pretty sweater to an ugly sweater holiday party. You could still get up to $4,500 when you go to Jackson Hewitt today. Details at jacksonhewitt.com. Eligible clients can get up to $1,000 in December and up to $3,500 in January. Loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Finance charge may apply.
Up at the dealership, people pause. Out comes good old trade-in clause. The perfect time of year to upgrade your ride. Trade in your car while the values are high.
Bring any trade to Matt Blatt Kia and drive home in a brand new Kia, even with 0 down and 0% APR financing for 36 months. Don't see your new Kia on the lot today? That doesn't mean you can't drive it home tomorrow with peace of mind. Matt Blatt Kia's exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy. So if you have a job clearing $350 per week at Matt Blatt Kia, you're virtually approved. So why pay more when you can pay 0% with 0 down?
Ho, ho, ho. Boys, we're going to Matt Blatt Kia.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Requalifications exist with approved credit. $27.78 per thousand financed on in-stock 2023 Sorrento Hybrid. Not all will qualify. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-506-4132. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 12/31/22. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 and Tom's River.
With all the sports we have, every time of the year is the best time of the year.
And the crowd just buzzing with excitement.
On 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Adam Caplan.
I have real confidence that our football operations can once again create a dominant football team.
Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Blatt Kia studios. It's Football at 4.
Latest edition of the Inside the Birds podcast dropped this morning. The full tape review with Jeff Mosher and today's guest, Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, at Caplan NFL on Twitter, as it's Dallas week. And it's exciting for me, Adam, because typically, when I get to talk to you, it's not during one of the more high-profile weeks of the football season. But here we are on a Wednesday with the Eagles and Cowboys playing on a Saturday. How you doing today?
Good, my friend. Look, growing up here in the Delaware Valley, it was something else. Dallas Eagles, to me, Josh, I would have to say, Sixers Celtics, because I was a huge Sixers fan.
Right. Growing
up in the late 70s, early 80s, through the 80s. The heat that the Celtics drew here was tremendous. But Dallas is at actually another level. The hatred that Eagle fans had and some of the stuff that would go on. It was so great when the Eagles beat the Cowboys in the 80 championship game here at the Vet. And it's just, the good thing is it's been a while since both teams have been competitive at the same time. They actually have something on the line. Moshe and I were talking about this weeks ago. Wouldn't it be great if that Week 16 game on Christmas Eve would have some meaning? And sure does. Because if they win it all. They win the division. They have the number 1 seed. The other way they could get that first round bye, if they tie, the Vikings lose to the Giants or the Vikings tie. So again, it's real simple to cure all this issue. Just win, and it's all solved. And then the question is who starts resting in Week 17 versus the Saints.
And Adam, something that you and Jeff have talked about on the podcast is that in a similar mold to 2017, they're in a position to lock up the 1 seed because of everything that happened in the previous weeks, the build up to this point. So, you want to win on Saturday in Dallas, but it's not the end of the world if you don't.
Right. And look, they play the Saints. In fact, I know the way some Eagle fans, Josh, are. They want them to beat New Orleans because they want to dig that grave in the Saints season because they want that better pick. They saw what happened to Miami last year when Miami shocked the world and turned their season around, wound up having a winning record. But this looks too good to be true with the Saints. The Saints playing a little bit better lately, particularly defensively. So, we know, the Eagles are going to get the number 1 seed. We all know this is going to happen. It's just a matter of what week it's going to happen. I really believe Gardner Minshew, who's going to start this week, could do really well. We'll get to him in a second. The really cool interview we have with John DeFilippo, the former Eagles quarterbacks coach for our Patreon subscribers only. Josh, go to patreon.com/InsideTheBirds to sign up for a subscription. We literally we tried him. He picked the phone up. He said, "I'll do it," and he was wonderful. And my goodness gracious, he talked like almost 10 minutes about Minshew, and I feel a lot better about Minshew. Not that I didn't, but I feel that he's a guy that you saw last year against the Jets do pretty well. And we'll talk more about that in a second. But overall, this is an interesting setup because you've got the Cowboys down who've got an illness. They've had illness problems really throughout their season. They had some players miss games with an illness. Michael Parsons missed 2 days of practice already. We'll see what happens tomorrow. As long as he gets there limited tomorrow, I'm sure he'll play. But remember now, Josh, tomorrow's the last day of practice for the week.
Yeah, it's a huge part of the conversation because the game is Saturday and not Sunday, so the turnaround is a lot quicker. Before we get to the Eagles specifically, let's talk about who Gardner Minshew will be seeing, or shall I say not be seeing, on the other side of the field, Adam. We know that Anthony Brown done for the year. We know that Leighton Vander Esch will not play on Saturday. So the Cowboys defense that just gave up over 500 total yards to Jacksonville is down players facing Philadelphia this Saturday.
Yeah, so they're down 2 corners. Anthony Brown tore his Achilles. He's done for the season. He was more their nickel corner after Jordan Lewis was lost due to a broken foot. And Jonathan Hankins, they acquired in a trade from the Raiders. He's on IR. Won't return to the playoffs with his right shoulder injury. The run defense is not very good. They struggled last week against Travis Etienne, the Jaguars running back. Their pass rush was not very good last week at Jacksonville. They scored a lot of points, but their defense did not play well. Let's call it like it is. You mentioned Vander Esch with his neck injury. He's had a history of neck problems. Now, this neck issue, as I understand, is not related to the previous one, which he had neck surgery on, but he's not playing this week. They're probably going to go with rookie Damone Clark as a 5th rounder. And I mentioned Michael Parsons. So, yeah, they've got issues on defense. Now, offensively, they lost right tackle Terrence Steele for the season. This surprised me. Tyron Smith, who's been a left tackle his entire career, remember, he tore his hamstring off the bone, unfortunately, to start very early in the season. He came back before the season ended. He started last week at right tackle. Jason Peters, of all people, replaced him when they thought he needed a rest. Peters got 20-some-odd snaps, so that's what they'll do at right tackle. They left Tyler Smith, their rookie left tackle, at left tackle, although Tyler Smith out of Tulsa did play guard in training camp. He got beaten out for that job, so they've had a bunch of changes here on the offensive line, but the offensive line's not the problem. It's really defensively against the run. Can they get a pass rush against the Eagles? Eagles have the best offensive line, and there's some interesting matchups in this game.
Speaking of those matchups, Adam, the other side of the ball for the Eagles, they did get some good news aside from Dallas Goedert being put on the roster again this week. We also have Reed Blankenship and Kevon Wallace sightings at practice.
Yeah, so Kevon Wallace will be okay. He's a hip injury. Here's the big news of the week. And I know it's the guy's a backup, but he may have to start again. We'll see how they want to manipulate the safety position in for Gardner Johnson. But right now, they expect Blankenship, who also practiced today. He participated in their walkthrough. They believe he'll be able to play. Now, the question is, will he be able to play a full game on Saturday? He's coming back from what I believe is a grade 1 MCL sprain. So will he have full range of motion? They'll have to get through the practice tape and see if he could do that. But they manipulated that safety position pretty well last week, playing 2 guys there. And it worked. It really did work. They kind of knew that they get through with it with those 2 guys. And the Bears have a very poor passing game, and that proved out to be true. The Eagles' run defense wasn't great. They leaked some oil there. Obviously, a big part of that was against Justin Fields. But the good thing is, one person told me, NFL guy, says, I don't think Philly's going to have to worry about anyone like him again until potentially the Super Bowl, maybe Josh Allen or somebody like that.
Adam Caplan joining us here for Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast at Caplan NFL on Twitter. Adam, let's take one more look at the Bears game and what the tape said. Now, you and Jeff went deeper into this on the podcast this morning, so we'll do some cursory overviews where something you have talked about a lot is the Eagles' desire to want to pass, and it seemed like they were very intent and not to get away from the passing game against Chicago.
It was remarkable. So I talked to 3 people who were at the game. One person who I thought had really good information said, it was cold as hell, really cold, coldest game. This person who works in the NFL said it's one of the coldest games he's attended, but he goes, the wind would swirl, and then there were times it was flatter, and maybe that's why they thought they could throw it. And only, Shane Steichen, the Eagles offense coordinator, didn't really get asked any questions specifically about the win that I saw or heard. But nevertheless, we said going in the game that they're going to pass this game. I know the run numbers are what they were. They could run the ball anytime they want. They strangely did not give Miles Sanders a carry for the first four series, which is bizarre to me. Even Sirianni knew. I believe when he talked about it, Josh, earlier this week, I think he was actually truthful. That shouldn't happen. It's not like we're saying he has to get 10 carries, but he should mix the run in a little bit.
Right.
Because Chicago's a bad front. But nevertheless, look, it worked. I mean, think about it, Josh. Through the wind and Hurts admitting that he couldn't feel his hands. I do wonder if he told the coaches this, but nevertheless, their two starting receivers combined for over 300 yards. A.J. Brown had a career day over 190, but it's just really incredible. And we've told people that we told our listeners on Inside the Birds when we went over the coaching staff in 2021, they want to throw the football. Now, they tried it early last year, Josh. Hurts struggled. They took the ball out of his hands. They became a greater running offense. But they knew for them to be a great football team, they had to throw the football. Eagles helped him. Hurts had a great offseason, and he's put it together here. And by the way, with Gardner Minshew, that's kind of why I brought this up. They're not going to hide Gardner Minshew. They don't believe in doing that. I'm not saying they won't run the football against the Cowboys. You can certainly run it. That's their weakness. But they're not going to throw the ball 20 times unless get up, unless it's 30-0. Like the Packer game when they scored over 40 and Packers decide not to tackle anyone, they're going to throw the football.
You mentioned about what they did last year versus this year. What does it say to you, Adam, that Shane Steichen keeps putting these shot plays into the game, these deep throws? In many ways, you can argue that might be the biggest sign of Jalen Hurts' development is the coach's confidence in him to call those plays.
Well said. That is probably the number one criteria for evaluating a quarterback. It's the amount of pass plays in the first half. That's what Joe Banner taught me, the former Eagles president, when Joe and I worked together at ESPN. We went through his philosophy that he learned in their gathering when Jeffrey Lurie bought the team and he came in as the president. They did a lot of research, and the best way to evaluate how a team thinks about a quarterback, it's time tested. It's really hard to challenge it. Is how many pass plays they call versus run in the first half. The Eagles historically have been a heavy pass team in the first half. It's not like they won't run it, but it's somewhere between 60 and 65% pass. It's above the league average, and that's what this staff is. We're going to go over those numbers. I don't know if we'll go over those numbers for a Sunday pregame show, but we're going to have it for our pregame people, certainly by the Saints game. And the Eagles are super heavy pass in 2017. That's what they believe in their building. And by the way, that's why they win. These defensive head coaches that don't get it, that's why they don't last.
By the way, the Eagles injury report just dropped online here. As expected, Jalen Hurts is a DNP. Zach Pascal, we didn't get a chance to talk about him yet, Adam. Yeah. He is still out with a concussion. I'm assuming that means he's in concussion protocol. If he's not practicing, that means that he's not that far along in the process, right?
Yeah. So Josh, here's the strange thing. I don't know if you noticed this. I put a note on Twitter yesterday after it came out. So the Eagles issued a second injury report, adding Pascal to the injury report after practice with a concussion, which almost certainly, and we've had this happen before, when we've evaluated some of these injuries that have happened, they've had guys suffer concussions in practice, and that's almost certain that what happened here. So yeah, it's bad, and they're on a short week, what makes it very difficult for him to get clear because he's not progressed. Like tomorrow is their last day of practice, and the injury they have to actually give the game status designation when questionable, doubtful, or out. So it's not looking good. And here, someone asked me this on Twitter, so I'll just address it right now. Moshe and I were talking about this through text. It's funny. They at one point in the season on the practice squad, they had 5 receivers on the practice squad. They only have 2 now. Greg Ward, who could only play the slot, and Devin Allen, who's just learning how to play receiver. So you can't. I guess it would be Greg Ward, and obviously Britton Covey, if they need him to, could play slot receiver. But this is. I don't want to say it would be a big loss. Don't overestimate what it is. But he blocks excellent for the run game. Good special teams player. Physical guy. Not a really good fourth receiver. it just you don't want this to be going on right now for a team that needs to wants to really want to win this game. That's a little bit of a downer.
What's interesting is you mentioned, guys, on the podcast this morning about how heavy 11 personnel was used against Chicago. Now, that's without Goddard on the field. So with Pascal not out there, is it a situation where when Goddard's on the field more, does that maybe take them out of some of those personnel groupings?
I don't think so, because because Quez Watkins is their 3. So I don't think that would matter. And Goddard, they could. The good thing about Goddard coming back is they could go heavy 11 or heavy 12. Goddard obviously in 12 personnel with Jack Stoll, who the coaches love as a blocker, and then go 11 with the aforementioned Quez Watkins. So they'll be fine with it. It's just it's a little you can't they're in position now. They only have 3 guys left in the rotation. With Pascal out, and they're going to have to do something about it. And the only thing they could do is bring Greg Ward up, quite frankly. Now, does it mean that they could also move Goddard around a little bit more? They could also, by the way, use Grant Calcaterra, who's done a better job blocking. So there's some ways to alleviate this issue.
Yeah, Calcaterra, I think, has been the real surprise over the last few weeks without Goddard, the way he has stepped up. So maybe we see him more down the stretch. One more on the offense, Adam, really quick. I just wanted to touch on with you about the fact that, do you think that the Eagles are going to continue to run those deep shot plays with Minshew with Hurts out?
Okay, so last year, Josh, you remember the Jets game when he started? He played really well. Now, I understand the Jets defense last year is completely different from this year. So this year, they've got one of the best defenses in football. They shut everyone down. Last year, they weren't shutting anyone down.
Right.
And they took shots, deep overs to Goddard. Goddard and Minshew had a great game. Great for fantasy, by the way. I know people were bummed last week. By the way, Goddard went on the record this week. He said he was ready to go. The MRIs were clean last week, but they made a decision to hold him out an extra week. And they also had a roster spot. It was kind of weird. And we still never got a straight answer why they held him out. He was physically ready to go, but okay. So they got him back to practice Wednesday, and he's good to go. But no, again, just as I would reiterate, that they're going to throw the football. Now, are they going to take the deep, a deep shot, a shot play to Quez Watkins? Probably not. I'm glad you brought this up, because Minshew does not have a very strong arm. He's good into the short intermediate area. The tight end will be involved, but I just don't see them taking super deep shots over 30 yards. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I can totally see Dallas Goedert having a huge game on Saturday, but I don't see a scenario where Quez is catching like 60-yard bombs down the field in this game.
No, I don't, because that's the thing. So, and by the way, he's not on the injury report this week. He had that shoulder issue, but thankfully he's not on the injury report.
Adam, real quick before I let you go, a couple of questions on the defensive side of the ball. Man, did they create pressure in that game? Reddick and Sweat, I mean, they are turning into a dynamic duo coming after quarterbacks.
I find it hard to believe that right now, Josh, that there is a better edge rusher tandem in the National Football League. The Eagles run a 34 front is really what the technical term is. I know some people call it a 5-2. That's fine. But the fact of the matter is those two edge rushers are phenomenal. I love when they meet at the quarterback. It's like the coolest thing. They're just really, really good. This is one of the best tandems in the National Football League. And Reddick is I don't know how to say this. I thought he'd be good, but not this good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just blown away. And he better be in Pro Bowl consideration. And Sweaty's been even more consistent. What a story he's been. And let's not forget his football career was almost ended in high school.
Yeah, and the knee injury situation has always been kind of that weird thing that loomed over him in the draft process. That's the reason why he dropped so far in the draft. Adam, from what you understand, what the people are telling you, what is going to be the biggest difference for this Eagles defense from the Bears to the Cowboys? Is it the offensive line? Is it the quarterback? What do you think is going to be the biggest difference?
Oh, boy. Well, when you look at Dallas, their offensive line is way better. That's the first thing that you know. They're way better. It's not like the best Dallas line of all time, but it's a solid line. That's not the issue. Dak Prescott has been very inconsistent coming back from his injury. And now the Cowboys defense, up to about 3 weeks ago, was lights out. They're struggling right now. So, and they're down 2 corners, as we talked about. They don't stop the run very well. They're leaking oil. The Eagles, see, before we get out of here, I haven't picked against the Eagles all season. By the way, the Eagles have the longest road winning streak in the National Football League, going back to last November. They've won 9 in a row. They haven't lost since it's almost been 13 months, Josh, since they lost a road game. That's the most incredible record that you could give on this team by far. It's just incredible. And I'm probably going to pick the Eagles. We'll talk more on Friday. I need to do a little bit more work on this, but I'm feeling pretty good with Minshew being the quarterback. And specifically Goddard coming back. Without Goddard, it's a different story.
I said earlier, Adam, I'll say it again. The 3 highest scoring games that the Cowboys defense has allowed this year all happened after the Eagles game. So,
earlier this season. Yeah, and by the way, they were awful that game against the Eagles on defense.
Yeah, so, hey, how many times have you and Jeff talked about when teams get tape on you, it makes a huge difference.
It is, and I think the injuries are catching up to them, and that's why you have to have good depth. The Eagles have better depth at certain positions. The Cowboys may be deeper at corner. They definitely are, but they're not better. The Eagles are actually much better at corner. And the Eagles also most likely have the best starting 22 when everyone's healthy in the NFL.
At Caplan NFL on Twitter. Check out the latest edition of the Inside the Birds podcast dropped this morning. The full tape review of Eagles and Bears. And of course, Adam will be back on Friday to give a further deeper preview into Dallas Eagles on Christmas Eve. Adam, great stuff today.
All right, Josh, thank you.
Josh Hennig here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle, and our Eagles conversation with Adam being brought to you by Jenkins & Sons. Trust Jenkins just like we did here at 97.3 ESPN, because when we needed to make our studio comfortable, that's who we called. No need to call the drain guy and the heater guy and the plumbing guy. No, Jenkins technicians are trained to do it all. Give them a call at 609-641-6262. Heating and air conditioning, service and maintenance, boilers, hot water heaters, leaks, whatever you need done in your home, trust Jenkins. 609-641-6262 and online at jenkinsandsons.com. Still to come, Dave Weinberg for a Weinberg Wednesday, and Bryan Toporek from the NBA podcast at 5:20. All still to come here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Hump Day Wednesday on 97.3 ESPN.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Happy holidays to all of our listeners. We listen online at the North Pole. Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho! From 97.3 ESPN.
With new inventory arriving daily, find your award-winning Acura at your local Delaware Valley Acura dealer and reserve yours today.
When it comes to wings in the Delaware Valley, nobody beats the Piccalilli Inn. Whether it's South Jersey's best wings, tails, or ears, let them know you're sauce champion. All 10 delectable flavors are going head-to-head to battle for number 1. When it's game day, you just gotta head to the Pick. Visit them on Facebook or at piccalilli.com for their Pick game specials. And be sure to pre-order to guarantee your spot in Sunday's lineup. Nobody beats the Piccalilli Inn. Visit the one, the only, the original Piccalilli Inn, Route 206 in Chemong.
Dell's Days of Deals start now with fresh, limited quantity deals each day on tech to power every passion. Save on select XPS laptops and Alienware PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget, special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and monthly payment options with Dell Preferred Account. Just call 877-ASK-DELL for Days of Deals savings. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Hey, it's Mike Gill for Ambient Comfort Heating and Cooling Professionals. Isn't it amazing how teams can suddenly get hot or cold? How about your home? If you suspect your heating system may need repair, call my friends at Ambient Comfort Heating and Cooling and save $50 off any repair this month. If your system is making louder sounds, if you notice unusual cycling, or if your system is over 10 years old, it may need maintenance to keep running safely at maximum efficiency. Ambient Comfort's skilled technicians are prepared to get you through the winter regardless of who originally installed your system. You may be able to reduce those increasingly high energy costs as well. Don't be left in the cold. When comfort matters, choose who I choose. Visit AmbientComfortNJ.com. That's AmbientComfortNJ.com or call 609-568-0955, 609-568-0955 and save $50 off your repair. Tell them Mike Gill sent you.
Where does the magic of the holidays come from? The North Pole? Maybe. Sugar plum fairies? Probably not. At Walgreens, we know that magic comes from you. It's the halls you deck from wall to wall, the wonderful gifts under your tree, and the holly jolly parties you throw. So dash into your local Walgreens, where we'll be here to help every merry little step of the way. Because when you're ready to spread the holiday cheer, it's not magic, it's Walgreens. This week, number 7 star of the show gift sets are 50% off. Select styles available while supplies last.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Looking for some holiday cash? Then don't miss Matt Blatt Nissan's holiday vehicle buyback. It doesn't matter what you drive. AJ the Trademan wants to buy your vehicle today, regardless of the make, miles, condition, or situation. AJ will buy your ride for cash today. So treat yourself to a brand new Nissan Rogue. 0 down, 0 payments, 0 interest on every new Matt Blatt Nissan Rogue. That's a brand new Nissan with 0% financing for 36 months, 0 payments for 45 days, and 0 money down. And AJ says you'll get more cash than you think and drive away with peace of mind, because only Matt Blatt Nissan has a 4-day love it or leave it return policy. MattBlattNissan.com. Rate qualifications exist with approved credit. $27.78 per thousand financed. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. Rate qualifications exist. Not all will qualify. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 12/31/2022. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
I'm Josh Hennig with your South Jersey Sports Center. All eyes of the NFL world is on the Eagles quarterback situation ahead of Philadelphia's matchup with Dallas on Christmas Eve. But Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni says,
we want to make sure that we go out there and take care of our business. So we need to win one more game to make sure that we have, win the division. And that's your first goal that you want to do. And so, we want to go out there and win this game. And if a guy's ready to play, then he's ready to play. Like, we're never going to put the guy in a scenario where we're going to be, detrimental to him.
This Saturday, Eagles-Cowboys kickoff at 4:25 p.m. here on your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. The Sixers are back in action tonight, looking for their 8th straight home win when they host the Detroit Pistons. Listen to 76ers basketball coverage tonight at 7 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN. Get more Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, and Flyers on our app. Your forecast is next.
You finally got that new car, so you called your insurance company.
Your call is important to us. Please hold.
We are the tippy top workshop insurance.
You ended that call with their jingle stuck in your head. Then you called NJM.
Thanks for calling NJM Insurance. This is Claudia. Let's see if we can save you up to 25% on your auto insurance.
No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. Visit NJM.com for a quote.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chris Coleman. We'll see increasing clouds tonight with a low of 32. Rain begins around lunchtime tomorrow with a high of 52. Rain becomes heavy at times Thursday night, maybe a thunderstorm with gusty winds. Then Friday, that rain could end as some wet snow as morning temperatures in the 50s will drop down to 14 Friday night and then bitterly cold for Christmas weekend. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free app today.
You've been putting back a few. And a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on Hump Day Wednesday, counting down the days to Christmas. Eagles play on Christmas Eve, Sixers play on Christmas Day, and hear both games right here on your home for Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, college football NFL primetime, and more here in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget our 97.3 ESPN mobile app. I want to review real quick the full Eagles injury report, because it's one of those things where the injury report is a little like, so anyone who's ever watched like any legal show, like, right, like, you've watched Law and Order or Boston Legal or The Practice or any of those shows, that one of the things they sometimes do in legal settings is the fact that they put so much information, on out there. They give you too much information. They overwhelm you because the NFL requires you to report if guys are practicing or not practicing. So the Eagles went out there and put 11 names on a list, all designated as rest. So the injury report looks really long, but then you realize it's actually them just, doing their due diligence what they have to. So realistically, there's only 5 names of consequence on the injury report. The other 11 are just rest. As we mentioned with Adam Caplan, Jalen Hurts didn't practice today. Right shoulder is his designation. He is expected to miss the game on Saturday. Zach Pascal, concussion, got put on the list yesterday, late in the day, as Adam mentioned. And what's probably going to happen is tomorrow, Pascal will probably be ruled out, and I think Hurst will get the doubtful designation because they don't want to fully rule him out, it seems like, for whatever reason. So that's what I think is going to happen there. Those are the only 2 guys who didn't practice. Tyree Jackson was limited at practice with a knee designation. But then the 2 safeties both practiced in full, according to the injury report, that being Blankenship and Wallace. So the good news is the Eagles, their safeties are up and pretty much good to go. To me, I thought it was important for Reed to be back for this game because CJ Gardner-Johnson this Saturday will be the 4th game he has to miss after being put on injured reserve. So, I'm glad to see that Reed is full participant. I think that's going to be a huge part of the game. Look, the Cowboys offense, you heard Adam say it, and anybody who has 2 eyeballs will tell you, Cowboys offense is way better than the Bears. The Bears got one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. The Cowboys have a quality NFL offensive line, okay? Even with the moving parts on their line, they still have, a much better front than Chicago has to offer. That their quarterback is better, their receivers are better, their running backs are better. Everything is better about Dallas. So the more guys you have available for the game in Dallas, the better chance you have at winning that game. And that's what Nick Sirianni said. You heard the clip earlier on the news update, on the Sports Center update. It's very clear that Sirianni is going into this game trying to win the game. This is not just a, going through the motions thing for the Eagles. They realize, they realize that they still have to win another game to lock up postseason seedings. This is no, cheap trip to Dallas. This isn't some sideshow they're going through, not just going through the motions. They're trying to go out there and win the game this Saturday. And I think that, I got to look and see if the Cowboys came out with their injury report yet, but they have a ton of guys who are out or injured at this point. And you got to think that, with the illnesses going around, and, multiple players being done for the year, their right tackle Steele, their cornerback Brown, their cornerback Jordan Lewis. Here's the update on their injury report. The tight end Ferguson still has a illness. Micah Parsons is expected to be back at practice the next 2 days and be ready for the weekend. So definitely some good news on that front. It looks like they're going to have at least some of the guys pretty well to go. If I'm reading this, straightforward, the only guy who's really going to miss the game is Leighton Vander Esch. The Cowboys already have multiple guys like Rankins and Jordan Lewis and Anthony Brown already out for the year. So the only guy who's a short-term miss this week is probably going to be Vander Esch, which I would say should incline the Eagles to run the ball a little more than they did against the Bears. You don't have a guy in Minshew who's a elite passer backing up Hurts, and you heard us talk about on Football at 4 that Minshew can't do the deep bombs, the shot plays consistently that Jalen Hurts can do. He's more of an intermediate precision timing passing game guy. So this is an opportunity for you to say, hey, no Vander Esch out there, we're going to run the ball. Look, one of the ways you neutralize Micah Parsons in that first matchup was to run right at him and force him to make tackles and make plays, and then you would run away from him. So you're making him run from sideline to sideline. You're making him work more than he's used to. And I think that is ultimately the key to handling him. Now, that doesn't completely negate the rest of the Dallas defense, which is full of a lot of talent. Okay. They're not devoid of talent just because they're missing 3 guys for the rest of the season. But look, it's going to be an interesting matchup. It'll be interesting to see, how do the Eagles make those adjustments from the Jalen Hurts style of offense to Gardner Minshew, intermediate timing game style of offense. So, all right, we'll get more into that coming up next with Dave Weinberg, sports columnist for 97.3 ESPN.com, longtime Eagles beat reporter. He knows a lot of Eagles Dallas history himself. He's seen it. He's covered it. We'll ask him about it coming up next here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. I'm Josh Hennig, filling for Mike Gill on a Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash.
Isn't there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about?
It's about sports.
Are you kidding me?
We got the Sixers, Knicks, and 3 NFL games on Christmas Day.
And there is a touchdown.
It's all on 97.3 ESPN.
With GMF financing, to qualify buyers excludes Corvette.
It may be cold outside, but the deals are smoking at Bennett Chevrolet. It's our red-hot clear-the-lot year-end sale. While they last, everybody gets GM supplier employee pricing on new Chevys. That's right, everybody pays what our supplier employees pay and not a penny more. Even when other dealers are selling for thousands over sticker, Bennett is selling at GM supplier employee prices. But hurry, this incredible deal is on new Chevys and they will sell out fast. Save even more with rates as low as 3.99%, and every pre-owned's on sale too. This may sound unbelievable, but Bennett's paying a minimum $10,000 for the worst clunkers towards any pre-owned in stock. Yes, a minimum $10,000 for total Imagine how much you'll get for a trade that actually runs. And our non-commissioned sales team is paid not on how much you spend, but on your satisfaction. So you know you will be satisfied. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Have you been naughty or nice this year? Cash don't care. At Jackson Hewitt, you could still get up to $4,500 for the holidays. Some bucks now, more bucks in January. So be naughty. Snap up all the ginger snaps. Wear a pretty sweater to an ugly sweater holiday party. You could still get up to $4,500 when you go to Jackson Hewitt today. Details at jacksonhewitt.com. Eligible clients can get up to $1,000 in December and up to $3,500 in January. Loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Finance charge may apply.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Life doesn't stop when the economy is uncertain. The market might not care you have a wedding to plan or a kid to put through school. And inflation doesn't know you've got a family to feed. But Bank of America does and is here to help With digital tools to help you save and local experts in New Jersey, you can keep life moving forward the way you need it to. Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at BofA.com/New Jersey. Bank of America N.A. member FDIC equal credit opportunity lender.
At the Home Depot, we have the tools for you to give the gift of a smarter home with savings on top brands like the Google Hub, a command center for your smart devices that raises the IQ of your entire home, or the Nest Learning Thermostat that helps you conserve energy and save on your bill. And if you don't know what to get, gift cards are a smart gift no matter what they get. So this year, gift smarter with savings on tools to make your holiday magic. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Did you know Nissan EVs have traveled 8 billion miles? Just a quick trip to Pluto and back. And what did we learn along the way? Well, that an EV can take on the world, like the Nissan Leaf. It can move racing forward and take your breath away, like the all-new Nissan Ariya. We learned to make EVs that electrify. 8 billion miles driven by Leaf owners globally since 2010. Ariya not yet available for purchase. Expected availability late fall, subject to change.
We get it. You're not going to work just anywhere. You're smart, ambitious, and you want to help others. You want a place where you can thrive, feel fulfilled, and have an opportunity for growth, all while making an incredible living. Right now is the perfect time to join the team at Town Square Media as a marketing consultant. Join one of the fastest growing digital companies in America, where you get to help build client solutions with real local influencers and sell brands like TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. If this sounds exciting to you, let's have a conversation. Our comp package is amazing with unlimited earning potential, including base salary, mobile phone, auto expense, 401k match, trip incentives, and more. If you're competitive, driven, and have the ability to communicate great ideas, we'd like to hear from you. With digital advertising expected to double over the next 3 years, the timing could not be better. Reach out to Mike Rubel, Market President, at 609-910-5249 or visit careers.townsquaremedia.com. Town Square Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Josh Hennig, Philly for Mike Gill on a Wednesday edition here on 97.3 ESPN. Now, usually if you listen to Game Night on 97.3 ESPN, you know that each week we talk with Dave Weinberg, longtime Eagles beat writer, sports columnist, over at 97.3 ESPN.com, the extra point columns, the 2-minute drill column, and whatever else might come to Dave's mind after writing about sports for such a long time in South Jersey. He joins us right now here on Eagles Dallas Week. And Dave, I'm sure you have seen your fair share of Eagles Dallas rivalry games over the years. How you doing today?
Doing well, Josh. How are you? Yeah, I've seen a few.
Yeah, seen a few. Obviously, this one has a little bit of a different feel to it because of one, the Eagles basically need to win one of the next 3 games and they clinch the division and home field advantage. The other part of it is that both teams are coming in here a little banged up. Jalen Hurts not expected to play, and also the Cowboys being without 3 different defensive players for the rest of the season. So both teams coming in here not exactly in 100%.
Yeah, it's kind of lost its luster a little bit. I mean, a week ago, everybody was all hyped up, but then the Cowboys went ahead and collapsed against the Jaguars, and that kind of like took the air out of the balloon. Like you said, the Eagles only needed one more win, so and there's absolutely no way Jalen Hurts should play on Saturday. I don't think. I mean, just rest the guy and maybe bring him back against the Saints or the Giants if you absolutely need to. So yeah, it's not quite as exciting as it could have been.
But it'll still be interesting because it's Christmas Eve and it's Dallas, and you know how everybody is. And by the way, speaking of Dallas, Dallas Goedert is back for the Dallas Cowboys game. So Minshew gets the guy that he targeted about 1 billion times in that Jet start last year.
Yeah, interesting little tidbit. I don't know if you remember Dallas Reynolds. He played for the Eagles a couple a few years ago. He was like a backup offensive lineman. And
Yeah.
I remember talking to him. And he was actually raised in Texas. And he had a brother named Houston, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I do remember people like ragging on him when they were getting ready to play the Cowboys. I guess Dallas Goedert's probably not going to face the same stuff. But yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Goddard's from South Dakota. So, I mean, I'm assuming that they look at him a little differently,
This is true.
or is the conversation, hey, at least you're not from North Dakota, right?
Yeah, there you go. Could be worse. That's right.
It could be worse. I think it's also interesting that, the 3 games that the Cowboys defense, which people have spoken very highly of this year, the 3 games they allowed the most yards and points in were all after the Eagles win against the Cowboys. So I think it's fair to say that the Eagles might have the formula to deal with the Dallas Cowboys.
Wait, repeat that again. You kind of lost me there. I'm not quite getting it.
So when the Eagles scored 26 points in their game against Dallas earlier this year,
yep.
Since then, all the games that the Cowboys have allowed the most points and yards in since that game are their 3 most this year.
Really? Wow. Huh.
Because it was the Packers loss, it was the Jags loss, and then they let Justin Fields run all over them in that game in Dallas.
I got you. Yeah, the wheels are kind of falling off them a little bit. I mean, it seems like we go through this every year where the Cowboys are finally back and they're going to get ready to end their slump, and then something goes wrong or somebody gets hurt or they're just not good enough. And, it's kind of like par for the course almost at this point with them.
Yeah, it must be a Texas thing. You do the same thing with the Texas Longhorns football every year too. Texas is back every year, right?
Yep. Well, they got Arch Manning. They got Arch Manning coming to town though, so things might be turning around with the Longhorns a little bit, I guess.
Oh, that's next year.
Yep, true.
It's even TCU in the college football playoff. It's not even the right Texas team.
Right.
For
Although I guess you're not going to bring up the Astros then, huh? That kind of like defeats.
Well, it's Houston.
Oh,
that's
I thought
Houston.
You just said Texas. Okay, all right.
Well, TCU is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Austin is much closer to Dallas than Houston is.
Okay, all right. I'll go with it. Sure. Okay.
I mean, yeah. Listen, the Astros beat the Phillies, but they were also arguably one of the best teams in all of baseball last year. So it's like
very true. Yep.
There's a difference between, as you mentioned, the hype train that comes with teams and a team that just has that much talent on the field. It's a little different to me, but maybe I'm just discounting it altogether. Maybe that's
I've been paying that much attention to basketball, but is Mark Cuban's team doing pretty good this year or no?
Mavericks? They're average. They're average.
Okay, all right. As par for the course for them too. Then, yep.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's be realistic. The Mavs have one great player in Luka Doncic, and the rest of the team is basically the equivalent of the New York Knicks. So
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But let's get it back to the Eagles with Dave
Weinberg
here.
Yeah, definitely.
At Dave Weinberg 19 on Twitter. Dave, what is your favorite? Do you have a favorite memory or Dallas Eagles game that you've either covered or seen?
The one that I covered was probably the opener. I want to say 2000, maybe the pickle juice game where the Eagles opened the season with an onside kick.
Yeah,
and recovered it, wound up scoring, and wound up blowing them out. And I remember I was in Dallas for it, and it was 150 degrees, something like it was just ridiculous. And the Eagles trainer at the time, who's now with the Chiefs, Rick Burkholder, he convinced some of the players to drink pickle juice, thinking that it would ward off dehydration. And he was kind of right for the most part. A lot of players bought into it. And yeah, that was probably one of my favorites. But there was also Josh, I could go on forever. I remember Jeff Garcia coming in and beating them on Christmas, and the famous "Merry Christmas, Philadelphia" as he's running off the field, which kind of reminds me of this game coming up a little bit. There was a playoff game in 95 season. Ray Rhodes' first year, they were playing in the playoffs game. The second round, they blown out Detroit. Jeffrey Lurie flew the entire team to Vero Beach, Florida, to practice in the warmth. And so we all spent a week. Randall left the team to attend the birth of his first child, forgot his playbook, and Roddy Pete went on getting a concussion in like the first quarter. Randall had to go in against the Cowboys, had no idea what was going on with the game plan, and the Eagles wound up getting blown out. So I mean, there's a bunch of them with Buddy Ryan, of course, with Pork Chop Bowl and all that stuff. So yeah, it goes back a long time, and it's always been a fun part of the season to cover.
Speaking of fun, I got to bring up your boy Nick Foles. They announced today that he will start the rest of the season for the Colts. I guess better late than never.
Yeah, there you go, Merkel, Nicky Six, baby. I was probably a little bit too late for them to do much, but I wouldn't count on anybody. If there's anybody else, I might, not care. But Foles always has a way of creating some magic.
I mean, I've talked to multiple people about this, Dave, who cover the NFL. Like, nobody understands why Nick Foles is on the roster if you wouldn't even give him a chance up until now. Like, the dude is just every game on the sideline with the earpiece in his ear so he can hear what's going on. And he's sitting there watching noodle arm Matt Ryan throw the ball around. Like, there's no.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's silly. I mean, Matt Ryan certainly isn't doing anything. And then you throw out that rookie Sam Ehlinger from Texas, by the way. It just made no sense to have him there. I mean, he may not be what he once was, but I mean, he's still worth a shot. I mean, they should have made the change a couple of weeks ago, at least, to give Nick a chance.
And I feel like Nick Foles could be that Toby Keith song. I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I'll ever be.
There you go. The older I get, the better I was. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, like Nick Foles, like there's no way you could tell me that Matt Ryan right now has a better arm than Nick Foles does. I mean, Nick Foles has got to be at least 6 years younger than Matt Ryan at this point. By the way, Nick Foles is also from Texas.
That's true. Yep. From Austin, Westlake, same high school as Drew Brees.
I mean, we're bringing up a lot of Texas references in this segment.
Yep, there you go. Yep. I guess you just can't help it.
You can't escape it. Jalen Hurts is from Houston, Texas. There you go. There's another one for you.
All right.
It's like playing one of those. What is that game where it was like, you had to keep naming like, things in reference to, or like, you'd add up and see how many, like, I forget the name of that game.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't remember either. JFK was assassinated there too. There's a little tidbit.
Well, I mean, that's just depressing. I mean, come on, Dave.
Actually, Dallas is one of my favorite cities. I've been there, obviously been there a bunch of times, and it's a really clean city, really nice people. Cowboys fans aside, they don't harass you when you go down there. I mean, Eagles fans are treated well. They got the best barbecue I've ever. There's a place called North Main Barbecue in Euless, Texas, right outside of Dallas. All you can eat for $20. It's unbelievable.
Now that's a good deal right there.
Yep. Golf is good too.
Well, you would listen. You're the foremost expert of golf on this show. So.
But yeah, it's a real nice. I don't know if you've ever been. It's a really nice city to visit.
No, I've never been to Dallas, but I've always wanted to go give it a check out. So, but $20 all you can eat sounds like a good place to start. When I get
Can't beat it.
Back to the Nick Foles thing, though. I just think it's so fascinating that like this guy, he's playing in the same division as Doug Peterson, and Doug Peterson beats the Cowboys, and now Nick Foles is going to play the Giants in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get the 6 degrees of separation, right? And I mean, Doug always finds a way to beat Dallas. Nick will always find a way to beat the NFC East. That's just the way he's wired. As you know, I'm a huge fan of Nick Foles, just as a player and a person. I wish him nothing but the best. I wish there was a way they could find his way back to Philly. That doesn't look likely now, but stranger things have happened. Maybe one day he'll get another shot to back up Jalen. Maybe.
I mean, maybe, at worst, he'll get one of those like 1-day contracts and retire as an Eagle.
Yeah, that's true. I still think he has a couple more years left in him, though, as far as a quarterback goes.
He probably does. The problem is that I feel like everywhere he goes, people just kind of let him sit on the bench and rot now.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems like everybody's going towards that. They want the next best thing, and then understandable. You want to build for the future, and Nick definitely isn't the guy that you want there, but. I mean, you can do a lot worse for a backup quarterback that can maybe step in and help you guys win a couple games. I
mean, look, if Colt McCoy can hang around for a decade, why can't Nick Foles, right?
Unbelievable. Chase Daniel, I mean, how long he's been in the league? Like 20 years, for goodness sakes. It's ridiculous.
I know. Dave, before I let you go, obviously Christmas Eve is Saturday, Christmas Day is Sunday. what does the Weinbergs have planned for the holiday?
Well, 3 grandsons kind of take charge here, and they're the be all and end all of all this stuff now. With Santa coming on Sunday, they've made out their list. They won't tell us what it's on it, which makes it a little challenging. Santa knows, so you don't need to know. So that makes it a little tough. But yeah, Christmas Eve mass on Saturday, after watching Eagles Cowboys, and just spending Christmas Day, and then maybe the day after with our family and stuff. It's always a good time. And my mother's special eggnog, which has a little bit of eggnog and a lot of bourbon in it.
Now that is Christmas right there. Dave
Weinberg. Yeah. I'll have to bring you some.
At Dave Weinberg, 19 extra point columns, 2-minute drill columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. He joins me each Wednesday on game night, but this week he was kind enough to join me a little bit earlier on the Sports Bash. Dave, always enjoy talking to you. Merry Christmas. Enjoy the holiday weekend.
Same to you, Josh. Thanks again as always. I appreciate it.
Josh Hennig here, filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash, hanging out with you guys. One more hour to go. Still to come, we'll talk Sixers, basketball, and NBA with Bryan Toporek. He is a contributor for Liberty Ballers and co-host of the NBA podcast. He'll join us coming up at 5:20 tonight. Also, on the other side, we're going to get to your text messages. Matt in Delaware, Dan in EHT. I'll get to you guys coming up next here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Here's Tobias on a straight line drive. Harris right down the lane with a two-hand stub. Whoa, Wayne Casey not too enthralled with that.
It's Sixers Pistons tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
'Twas the month of December, and all through the lot, people were shouting about the offers they got.
I got more for my trade.
These are the best prices in town.
They bailed me out of my loan. I was upside down.
If you're worried about credit, stop. Just apply, because the staff at Matt Platt Mitsubishi wants to see you in a new ride. Ho, ho, ho. So if you have a job clearing $350 per week at Matt Platt Mitsubishi, you're virtually approved. Plus, every new Mitsubishi Outlander SUV puts 0 down and 0% APR financing for 36 months. Worried that your credit will keep you from getting a new ride? Matt Platt Mitsubishi wants to finance your future, not your past. Simply Matt Platt Mitsubishi. Requalifications exist. Not all will qualify. $27.78 per thousand finance not approved with Tier 1 credit. Rebates and incentives to dealer or call 844-946-2315 for complete details. Plus tax, license, registration fees. Offers can't be combined. Expires 12/31/22. So come in today and get your deal your way. Located right in the heart of Glassboro for over 30 years.
This holiday ad will be over in 27 seconds. Unlike the new Duracell battery with Power Boost ingredients that can last 19,976 seconds in your kid's RC motorcycle, or 6,801 seconds on your beard trimmer for this year's family photo, or 15,172 seconds on your electric frother for some holiday eggnog, and many more seconds to get more out of your holiday season. Duracell, unlike this ad, engineered for more.
See the red tag, save a lot of green at the Bridgeton Chevrolet Buick GMC Red Tag event. Get $500 red tag bonus cash on select new models. Plus, make no payments for 90 days. Lease a new 2022 Chevrolet Colorado Crew Cab, $299 a month for 36 months. Plus, get the BAM Advantage, 2 years of scheduled no-cost maintenance. Save now at Bridgeton Chevrolet Buick GMC. Better get to Bridgeton. Find new roads. Payment deferment excludes leases. $2,500 down on all vehicle offers. See dealer for details.
At my age, I never dreamed I'd be dealing with opioid addiction.
I was pregnant and I couldn't stop.
Getting sidelined by an injury was bad, but the cravings were way worse.
Then I heard about 844-REACH-NJ.
They connected me to treatment and I had a healthy baby.
844-REACH-NJ was the call that made the difference.
Thank goodness I made the call.
So glad I made the call for both of us.
REACH-NJ.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, call 844-REACH-NJ from the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
When you can't stop, there's Vicks VapoRub. Vicks VapoRub sends powerful medicated Vicks vapors right to the source of your... so you can experience cough relief and breathe easier. Generations of families have trusted Vicks VapoRub to help relieve the worst cold symptoms. So next time you have a cough, reach for the Vicks VapoRub. Vicks VapoRub. Cough relieving is believing.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals for Business start now with fresh, limited quantity deals on tech to drive productivity. Save on select performance laptops and desktops powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything, and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, how Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
When you hear this,
They've got him again!
and this,
He scored!
and this,
Oh boy, what a move by Embiid!
you think of us. We are sports. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a town square media station. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash, counting down the days to Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Why? Because Christmas Eve, you can hear Eagles and Cowboys right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Mel Reese and Mike Quick on the call. And on Christmas Day, you can hear the Sixers play the Knicks right here on 97.3 ESPN. Tom McGinnis on the call at 12 p.m. We'll get to all the latest Eagles and NFL and Sixers this hour on 97.3 ESPN. This hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by the Gallery Bar, booking games in Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Go to the Gallery in Ocean Casino Resort to go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. For those of you just getting in your car for the ride home, thank you for listening in to 97.3 ESPN. We'll get into more of the Sixers conversation coming up in less than 20 minutes from now with Bryan Toporek, contributor for Liberty Ballers and co-host of the NBA podcast. I want to get you guys updated on the Eagles injury report. If you didn't get a chance to listen to the show earlier, the Eagles injury report, first of all, it's a little misleading, we'll call it, because 11 guys are listed as resting as limited at practice today. So there's really only 5 names of significance. Jalen Hurts did not practice as expected due to his right shoulder. I was telling you guys earlier in the afternoon today that Jalen Hurts was not even seen for most of practice. There's a couple of videos on Twitter that show him kind of like in the background, but really not part of the practice itself. And then Zach Pascal, who was put on the injury report yesterday with a concussion, he did not practice either. As I told you guys earlier in the show, based on everything that John McMullen told us at 3 o'clock and Adam Caplan told us at 4, when we talked about the Eagles with them, it looks like that the expectation will be that Jalen Hurts will not play on Saturday. It will be Gardner Minshew getting the start, and that Zach Pascal is probably going to be listed as out tomorrow unless he has some major progress through concussion protocol in the next 24 or less hours. So You will be without the starting quarterback. You will be without your number 4 receiver for the game on Saturday in Dallas. The other 2 names that are significant on the list are Reed Blankenship and Kevon Wallace. They were both full participants at practice after they both were on the injury report yesterday. So good news, the Eagles beefing up their depth at the safety position. That is a huge deal for them this week because of the fact that, remember, it's another game where C.J. Gardner-Johnson is unavailable. Remember, he must miss 4 games. He was put on injured reserve, so he must miss 4 games. The soonest C.J. can return from the injury report is January 1st versus the Saints, but even then, there's no guarantee because, you know, they open the 21-day practice window. That's actually 3 weeks, so he could technically miss the rest of the regular season or miss up until the Giants game and then be back for the postseason. So there's a lot of different ways the Eagles can go with this in safety, but the good news is I think Blankenship is very important to go against the Dallas team whose offensive line, quarterback, receivers, running backs are all better than the Bears. I told you guys for weeks on game night, which I usually host at 6 o'clock, following Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. I told you guys for weeks, if you were going to miss having certain players, if you were going to have to deal with guys being absent, especially in the defensive secondary, Chicago was going to be one of those games that you could get away with it. And to me, the other one was the Giants and the other one was Tennessee. And you've won all 3 of those games. You dominated Tennessee. You ran away from the Giants, and you survived the Bears. So getting Blankenship 100% was important for this Dallas game. Now, Dallas has their own set of injuries as well. There is a flu kind of illness going around the Dallas locker room. So it appears that Dallas is in a position where they're getting some of their guys back on the field, but not everyone. So that'll be interesting thing to keep an eye on. Micah Parsons was one of the guys who got sick. He was apparently back in the building for practice today. Also, don't forget, Dallas has suffered 3 season-ending injuries on the defensive side of the ball. The Dallas Cowboys are without Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis for the rest of the year, 2 of their corners. They also lost Jonathan Rankins, one of their D linemen, for the rest of the year. And then Steele, their starting right tackle, was lost for the season a couple of weeks ago. And they trotted out there Jason Peters and Tyron Smith at right tackle versus the Jags this past week. So read into that what you will. So that's the latest and greatest on the injury front. Like I said, I think that for the Eagles, and Dallas is going to be without Leighton Vander Esch, their running back. So a lot of different things to decipher for this game coming up. A lot of different interesting matchups. Again, it's Gardner Minshew expected to start and not Jalen Hurts. So, all right, with all that in the bag, let's get to some of your texts. As I promised, I would get to some of your messages coming into the show. You can also DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Seattle. And, of course, your text at 609-403-0973. Dan and EHT chimes in and says, I wouldn't play Miles Sanders until the playoffs. He's very important for Hurts and the running game. He's also a great blocker. He has to be fresh. Running backs take a beating. Well, a couple things, Dan and EHT. First of all, I incredibly disagree with you because if the Eagles get the number 1 seed, what you're saying is you want Miles Sanders to get no playing time, no reps, no real-time action for like 4 to 5 weeks. That is completely irrational. No player benefits from having no repetitions. If you told me don't play Miles Sanders for the Giants game and then he has the bye week and then he has 2 weeks off before the start of the playoffs, I would give you that. But Miles Sanders needs to play still because, one, the Eagles still need to win. There's no way anyone can convince me that Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott are good enough running backs, or Trey Sermon, for goodness sake, are good enough running backs to ensure this team gets a win. Now, if the Eagles win on Saturday or they win on Sunday, January 1st, one of those two games, and you told me, hey, everybody take a day off against the Giants, last game of the year, I'd be like, all right, that's fine. But Sanders needs to play this week because, one, he is a key to keeping the offense balanced because he is a run and passing threat. You know that the Cowboys have to account for him. And I would argue that Miles Sanders might be one of the two most important offensive players in this Saturday's game. I would say it's him and Dallas Goedert. I think they both have important games this Saturday if the Eagles are going to go out there and try to beat the Dallas Cowboys the way that Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon, they're all saying this week. They're all looking at Dallas as we want to win this game. And by the way, if you're an Eagles fan, don't you want to hear that? Don't you want to hear the coach say, we want to go out there and beat Dallas? We want to beat Dallas twice in the same year. You know how long it's been since the Eagles beat Dallas twice in the same year? It's been like a decade. So, frankly, Miles Sanders shouldn't take off to the playoffs. Disagree with that incredibly. Matt in Delaware chimes in. He says, Josh, do you think there's any relevance to Mike Leach passing and Minshew likely being the star this week? Do you think there's any emotional factor here? That's Matt in Delaware. Matt, I don't think it's something that we can completely dismiss, but I do think that Minshew is enough of a mature adult that I think he can handle it. I don't know if it's a coincidence. You know, Mike Leach passing away was definitely a very big, huge blow for a lot of people. You know, I had told my personal Mike Leach story the day he passed. You know, there's a lot of people who have experiences and relationships and professional or personal with Mike Leach. So, you know, for me, you know, I look at this whole thing with Mike Leach as just, you know, it happens. People, you know, look at Franco Harris today. Was there any good reason why Franco Harris should have passed away just days before he was going to have his number 32 retired and the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception? Yeah, I don't buy into the relevance of someone's passing and the timing and all that stuff. But I do think there might be an emotional factor, Matt. No, I won't completely discount that. I think that, you know, Minshew, we'll see what his heart rate is like. You know, Minshew is not as cool, calm, and collected as Jalen Hurts is. He's not as much of a stoic person. He does have more emotion, more passion. You know, maybe a couple of his throws to start the game, maybe they are a little off, or maybe he throws a little too hard, a little too high, or a little too far a couple times to begin the game. But once he gets the nerves rattled down and he gets himself settled, I think he'll be fine. I don't think the Eagles are not going into the game saying Gardner Minshew needs to win the game for us. They're going into the game saying we need Gardner Minshew to not turn the ball over, to run the offense, and basically, you know, just do his job. So, Mandela, I don't think you can discount the emotional factor because Minshew and Mike Leach were obviously close. He was giving the eulogy at Mike Leach's funeral. So, you know, obviously there is an emotional connection there. So, but I will throw out the idea of Mike Leach passing, Minshew starting, relevance, coincidence. Not buying that. Yeah, as I said a couple hours ago on the Sports Bash, you know, these guys who are passing, you know, are great examples for all of us to show our appreciation and care for other people while we have them, while they're with us, instead of waiting until it's too late. You know, what is the reason why Franco Harris's 32 was not retired yet? No good reason. For an organization like the Steelers that is one of the best run organizations in all of sports, not just the NFL, for them to miss the boat on retiring arguably their greatest running back, his number, and they waited so long they end up passing away. I mean, that just feels like a great fail by them. Yeah, as I said earlier, I think that we live in a world where we get so hyper-focused on ourselves and what we want and what we like to have, and we don't appreciate the people who are in our lives, people who watch out for us, take care of us. And, I would just encourage people that in the light of a guy like Franco Harris passing away so unexpectedly, just days before the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, one of the most famous plays in all of football history, I would just remind everybody, try to appreciate people while they're here. Don't just wait till they're gone to say good things about them. Josh Hennig here, filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of CLC. On the other side, we're going to get into the Sixers. The Sixers are going for their 8th straight home win tonight. Tom McGinnis on the call here in your home for Sixers basketball, 97.3 ESPN FM. We'll get the thoughts on the Sixers, their upcoming Christmas Day matchup with the Knicks, the state of the Eastern Conference, all that and more with Bryan Toporek, the co-host of the NBA podcast and Liberty Ballers contributor. Next with me, Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Happy holidays to all of our listeners.
Ho, ho, ho! I downloaded the app. Now I take my favorite station all over the world.
Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
From 97.3 ESPN.
Matt Blatt Mitsubishi in Glassboro, offering you huge discounts. Now you can get a great deal on a brand new Mitsubishi. Online at mattblatt.com.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details. Do you love a good cigar almost as much as your family? Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but you can find that perfect cigar at Smoker's Haven. With 5 New Jersey locations, Smoker's Haven has the finest selection of cigars in the area, like Ashton, My Father's, Romeo and Julieta, Monte Cristo, and more. All from the finest tobacco leaves and hand-rolled by the world's finest cigar makers. All locations are fully open. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. See all they have and their locations at smokershavennj.com.
At the Home Depot, we have the tools for you to give the gift of a smarter home with savings on top brands, like the Google Hub, a command center for your smart devices that raises the IQ of your entire home, or the Nest Learning Thermostat that helps you conserve energy and save on your bill. And if you don't know what to get, gift cards are a smart gift no matter what they get. So this year, gift smarter with savings on tools to make your holiday magic. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs. How Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
The holidays are a time to unwind. At least they should be. So tune everything out and find some peace of mind in the turbocharged Acura Integra. Spend some quality time with the family in the spacious MDX Type S. Unwind at the Acura Season of Performance going on now. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Visit your Delaware Valley Acura dealer to find your Acura today.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
I'm Josh Hennig with your South Jersey Sports Center. All eyes of the NFL world is on the Eagles quarterback situation ahead of Philadelphia's matchup with Dallas on Christmas Eve. But Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni says,
we want to make sure that we go out there and take care of our business. So we need to win one more game to make sure that we have, win the division. And that's your first goal that you want to do. And so, we want to go out there and win this game. And if a guy's ready to play, then he's ready to play. Like, we're never going to put the guy in a scenario where we're going to be, detrimental to him.
This Saturday, Eagles-Cowboys kickoff at 4:25 p.m. here on your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. The Sixers are back in action tonight, looking for their 8th straight home win when they host the Detroit Pistons. Listen to 76ers basketball coverage tonight at 7 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN. Get more Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, and Flyers on our app. Your forecast is next.
The annual Wildwood Fishing and Boating Expo is returning to the Wildwoods Convention Center January 7th through 8th with over 80 vendors. Doors open at 9. Admission is $7 for adults, $3 for kids 6 to 13, and under 5 is free. Visit fishingexpowildwood.com. From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chris Coleman. We'll see increasing clouds tonight with a low of 32. Rain begins around lunchtime tomorrow with a high of 52. Rain becomes heavy at times Thursday night, maybe a thunderstorm with gusty winds. Then Friday, that rain could end as some wet snow as morning temperatures in the 50s will drop down to 14 Friday night and then bitterly cold for Christmas weekend. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free app today.
Hi, Merrill Reese from Mike's Seafood Run Walk for Autism in Sea Isle City. The Mike's Seafood Run Walk for Autism has been promoting awareness and raising funds for special service schools and families of special needs children. Come join over 5,000 participants in the 5K race and the Family Fun Walk, followed by a huge after party. Join us in huge heated tents where they'll have great food, unbelievable door prizes, and the award ceremony. The party is not just for runners or walkers, it's for the entire family. They'll have clowns, superheroes, and face painters for the kids. For more information or to register, go to polarbearrunwalkforautism.com.
Mike's Seafood Run Walk for Autism is Saturday, February 18th at JFK and the Boardwalk in Sea Isle City. Registration is from 9:30 to 11:30. Run Walk starts at noon.
Any day you can do something for children with disabilities, it's a good day.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill here on a Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. 5:22 on a Wednesday, and the Sixers are back in action tonight as we are counting down the days to Christmas Eve with the Eagles, Christmas Day with the Sixers. So to get all that and more, it's basketball season because if me and Bryan Toporek are talking multiple times on the radio in the matter of 2 weeks consecutively, there's basketball in the air. Bryan, welcome back in. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, Josh. Thanks for having me back.
I'm glad to have you back. I'm going to start with a kind of a salacious question for you because earlier in the show, we had Mike McGarry on. And Mike McGarry was trying to convince me that the Knicks have a better roster potentially than the 76ers do. And when we started going through the players, while we all agreed that Embiid is the best player on both rosters, I begrudgingly gave him that Jalen Hurts is the second best guy. But then he's trying to tell me that he would take Julius Randle over James Harden. And I was not convinced of that at all. So, how do the Sixers and Knicks rosters stack up?
I'm going to take your side of that debate. I don't know that the Knicks have any of the 2 or 3 best players among the two teams. I'll give you Brunson in that conversation, and maybe because he's more proven, you'd put him over Tyrese Maxey right now. I don't think I would take him over James Harden. I definitely would not take Julius Randle over James Harden. I wouldn't take him over Tyrese Maxey. I don't think I would even take him over Tobias Harris at this point. So the top end talent, I think clearly favors the Sixers. If you want to argue about, like, do the Knicks have a better ninth man than the Sixers? Sure, maybe. But I think it's pretty clear. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see that play out on Christmas Day, that the Sixers top end talent could just completely overwhelm the Knicks.
I mean, frankly, I would take RJ Barrett over Julius Randle at this point.
Yeah. I mean, Randall's had a nice bounce back season relative to last year, which has been good to see, but he makes a lot of boneheaded plays.
He disappears for stretches of time, Brian. He completely is like a ghost on the floor. Like Brunson and Barrett, even Emmanuel Quigley is like running all over the place and doing stuff. Like you see Randall and you're like, oh, I didn't even realize he was there.
He's just miscast in too much of a primary offensive role, which I think stemmed from his first season in New York. Like, he would be a fine third or fourth option, but he's being paid too much to be that. And the Knicks, again, just don't have the top end talent for him to slide into that role. So, as that like offensive focal point, I don't think that's his what best suits him. I think that's something that, to Tobias Harris's credit, his malleability, when the Sixers were without Embiid, Harden, and Maxey, Harris did scale up to be that primary offensive option and looked a lot better at it than Julius Randle does. But he's also able to slide back down into more of a complementary role, which we really haven't seen from Julius Randle since he joined the Knicks.
Doc Rivers told the media just moments ago, Brian, that there's no update on Tyrese Maxey, but that he's improved. There's still no timetable for his return. Are you concerned at all?
No, I mean, if the injury was going to happen, I'd much rather it happen now than in March or April or even February. So, like the Sixers are in the midst of a 7-game homestand. They're playing Detroit tonight. Detroit is already circling the drain at this point. And if you look at their upcoming schedule, the only 2 games that I think, are like they're probably going to be underdogs are against the Pelicans. They have them on December 30th and January 2nd. Otherwise, like every single one of their games really over the next month is very winnable. So take your time, Tyrese. Like, I think they can hold down the fort without him for now. And then, you look at their end of season stretch and it is just grueling. So that's where I would be focused on. Like, they need to be stacking as many wins as they can now, ahead of that, which could have seeding implications at the end of the season. But I think they're going to be able to do it even without Tyrese.
With Bryan Toporek, he's the co-host of the NBA podcast, also contributor for Liberty Ballers and Forbes Sports, covering the NBA. Brian, for a lot of people, Christmas Day is for the NBA what Memorial Day is for baseball. The idea that, they're playing, but you really don't pay attention until this day, right?
Yeah.
So talk to the people who maybe have been casually following the Sixers, but maybe they don't really know what's going on. What are the 76ers at 17-12 heading into Christmas Day?
I think it's hard to say, honestly, because they've had so many guys miss a lot of time. Maxey for basically the last month. James Harden missed a month. Embiid missed a couple games as well. So we really haven't seen them at full strength, at least in terms of, like even early in the year when Harden was going off, Embiid was dealing with the getting back into shape because he had some plantar fasciitis that affected him during the offseason, apparently. So we still don't really know what this team's ceiling is. We haven't seen them operating on all cylinders yet. With that said, they have righted the ship. They've won 5 straight games. I would knock on wood. I think it'll be 6 after tonight. Embiid is playing at an MVP caliber level again. He's just been absolutely ridiculous this year. James Harden started the year really well, faded, got hurt, came back, had an absolute clunker against Houston, but has been better since then. And I think the big story so far has been kind of the other guys. I mentioned Tobias Harris already. DeAnthony Melton, one of their big offseason pickups, has been a sensational fit. And I think there's a real question about, how to maximize him when all of the starters are back healthy. Do you keep him in the starting lineup still? If not, is he in the closing lineup over a James Harden or over a Tyrese Maxey or over a PJ Tucker? Shake Milton too, who stepped up, especially when both Harden and Maxey were out. He was not really in the rotation in the first couple games of the season. Now I think he is really solidified. He deserves a spot in there. So, the minutes distribution, the touches, the shots, we'll see how all of that plays out when Maxey is back in the fold as well. But I think there's a lot to be encouraged about after a very inconsistent start to the season. We just still don't really know how this team stacks up against a Boston or Milwaukee in the East.
You mentioned a name that a lot of people are not a fan of, Brian. That is PJ Tucker. What do we do with Tucker at this point? Because I feel like the average fan thinks that he's an overpaid, slow old man. They have no appreciation or thought for him no matter what. So is he an overpaid, slow old man, or is he actually a valuable part of this team?
I think there might be some truth to both parts. I think objectively that contract is probably not going to age super well, but that should not really be a huge concern to anyone not named Josh Harris or anyone else in the Sixers ownership group. It's not your money. Who cares? They brought him in because Embiid, they lose to the Heat last year in the playoffs, and Embiid specifically name drops him as this is the type of guy we don't have. This is the type of physical, nasty presence that we don't have. And so PJ Tucker, even if you look back what he did in Milwaukee or what he did in Miami, it's not like he was dropping 15, 20 points a game or piling up 8, 9, 10 rebounds a game. His per game stats are going to be mediocre. He is not, if you're just evaluating it in terms of per game stats versus how much money he's making, you are always going to be underwhelmed. But what he does is a lot of the little things, which sounds cliche, but you watch these games and there he is back tapping an offensive rebound that they would not have gotten last year without him. And, those little things extend plays. And when you're in the playoffs, especially, and each possession takes on more importance, I think that's where his value is really going to start to stand out. I think Harden's absence hurt him possibly more than anyone else because Harden is just such a better playmaker than anyone else on the team that he can really set PJ up for those corner threes that he loves to feast on. And he's just going through a cold streak shooting. I know Embiid is saying on him about, I don't care how many times you miss it, just shoot. Don't pass up those shots. Don't get in your head. We're generating these looks. This is how the offense needs to function. You just need to take them.
You mentioned how the offense functions. What is this offense? Because, I'm not trying to be facetious when I ask this question, but Brian, if I had $1 for every person who I ran into, whether it was at the bar, at the gym, at the store, on the boardwalk, anywhere I go, they have a complaint about this offense. And they've been having complaints for years, whether it was Doc Rivers or Brett Brown or was a partridge in a pear tree calling the plays from the sidelines. No one's ever happy with how they use Embiid, what Harden is doing, what anybody's doing. Why is Tobias, for example, I remember somebody told me recently, Tobias needs to stop shooting threes. I'm like, you realize he's shooting 41% from three.
Right.
What do you mean Tobias needs to stop? It feels like people are just so frustrated that they're just grasping for anything.
Yeah, they're not the beautiful game Spurs or the Golden State Warriors, where they're just going to generate a ton of open shots off of ball movement. It's going to be a lot of James Harden isolating and a lot of Joel Embiid isolating. With Embiid in particular, he is so physically dominant and imposing that if you guard him one-on-one, you are going to get dunked on more often than not, or he's going to draw a foul and he's going to put you in the bonus. And, so that good things happen when teams single cover Embiid. So the entire premise is get the ball to him, have the double team come to him. That's going to result in an open shot somewhere else. And if those players start hitting those shots, then the teams have to scramble and say, okay, maybe we're going to single cover Embiid. And then Embiid starts dominating and you don't have any good options. I think there are some fair criticisms about, I do not enjoy the possessions where James Harden is dribbling at the top of the key for 20 seconds and then launches a step back three. They have too much talent. This is not Houston. They have too many other guys who deserve to at least touch the ball on a possession. So there are certainly kinks to be worked out in the system. But I think the overall fundamental strategy is Joel Embiid is arguably the most physically dominant player in the NBA when you consider his size and his strength. Give the ball to him and see what mismatches that creates, either from a single coverage or a double team.
I mean, my only answer has ever been, and they'll never do this because it's the NBA and not high school basketball, but I would personally run a high post offense. Run it through Embiid, let him start at the top of the post, give him the option to either bleed out to the 3-point line or get a screen and drop him down in the box and just, move him up and down, basically the up and down the line and, see what happens. That would be my only answer that would make everybody happy. But the problem is, like I said, it's the NBA. They love to run motion offense. Everybody is doing some variation of some ISO thing with about 20 different options off a screen, for goodness sake.
Yeah. And I mean, ball security has never been one of Embiid's strengths. So I think the more that you are having him dribble, especially at the top of the key, the more that leads to live ball turnovers and what they call a pick six, where the team is going to just run it out and score an easy two. So I think there's certainly room for improvement. I wouldn't say the Sixers have the most creative offense in the league by any means, but it is effective, even if it isn't necessarily the most aesthetically pleasing to watch.
Bryan Toporek joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Follow Bryan on Twitter at @BToporek. A couple other teams I want to ask you about the Eastern Conference before I let you go, Bryan. Number one, we mentioned the Knicks earlier. They are 18-13. They're basically right there with the Sixers in the standings, right outside of that play-in grouping from 7 to 10. Jalen Brunson has been incredible to watch this year. And he's only 26. I keep telling people the dude's only 26. He's probably a year or two away from being maximum what he can be, right? But he's it. You look at the rest of the Knicks team, and it's just it doesn't really get you excited. The rest of the Knicks team is, at least to me, the equivalent of the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I was saying earlier in terms of, they just don't have a lot of top end talent. They have a lot of legitimate rotation players. So you can go 9, 10, even 11 deep for them. And you're not necessarily nervous about that. But, finding the guys who you can really count on in a, end of game down 2 type of possession, it's Brunson and I don't know who else. I don't feel that Randall is in that tier yet. Barrett has the potential to be, but he is not shooting particularly well this year. So I think Brunson has been the connective tissue that they were missing last year. So I know they just got docked a second-round pick for tampering with him today. I think they're happy to pay that price for the results that he has given them so far. But yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily buying the Knicks as a legitimate threat to come out of the East or even win a playoff series at this point.
Can they make a trade to improve their roster, or are they one of these teams that's so handcuffed? I mean, I know they lost a second-round pick today due to the quote-unquote Jalen Brunson tampering, which, as you and Keith Smith and every other NBA guy I've ever listened to I've heard it say 100 times, everyone tampers, for goodness sake. So, whatever. We'll pick and choose the Knicks and Jalen Brunson and the Sixers with about 20 guys, basically, for them getting in trouble. But Can the Knicks actually improve their roster? Like, we know the Sixers, they got their hands tied with certain contracts. Are the Knicks hand tied too?
I don't really think so. I mean, they've got enough guys earning that like middle tier salary that I think they could make a move. I just don't know that they have any of their young prospects. I don't know they're like the blue chip, this is the key guy you're getting back in a superstar trade. So, maybe they have to set their sights a little lower than a Kevin Durant, for instance, but they do have a bunch of future first round picks beyond just their own. So they do have some draft capital to dangle whenever the next star becomes available. I think for them, it's a matter of, choosing wisely and not just going all in on, if like a DeMar DeRozan, for instance, becomes available. Great player, could make them better this year. Already in his 30s, doesn't really make sense with the timeline with Brunson and Barrett in particular. So that's not the type of move I would make. But if a Zach LaVine from Chicago shakes loose, then that's something I'd be more open to if I'm the Knicks.
Well, you mentioned Chicago. That's the next thing I want to ask you about. Charles Barkley said on Inside the NBA last night that he thinks Miami and Chicago should both blow up their rosters.
Yeah, I mean, Chicago, it's tricky because they owe a draft pick to the Orlando Magic this year. So if you want to, I think it's top 4 protected, I want to say. So if they jump up into the jump up in the lottery and get a top 4 pick, they keep it. Otherwise, I believe it's going to Orlando. And the odds, even if you have the worst record in the NBA, the odds of getting a top 4 pick are still like close to 50-50. I think it's like 52-48. So you're basically, if you are committing to the blow it up thing and you say, I want Victor Wembanyama, this like generational prospect who should be the number 1 overall pick in 23, it's still only a coin flip that you might even have a chance to get him. With that said, Nikola Vucevic is in the last year of his deal. So I think it would make sense to explore trades for him if you don't plan on re-signing him. And, this Athletic article just came out yesterday from Shams Charania hinting at some behind-the-scenes discord between LaVine and DeRozan. So I think it makes sense to at least explore what you could get for those guys. Like if the Lakers are willing to offer Russell Westbrook and, both of their unprotected draft picks in 27 and 29 for DeMar DeRozan, sure, I'd hear him out. Why not? But I don't know that they're going to necessarily go that route.
I mean, you mentioned the Lakers. I'll bring it up. I mean, what do we even do with the Lakers at this point? Like, I mean, that entire organization feels like they are rudderless. They have no direction. Marvin Ham and LeBron are trying to sell us these, these scenarios and these things. And I'm just like, I don't see it on the court, man.
Yeah, the Anthony Davis injury is just such a killer for them because they were really actually starting to play a lot better. They started 2-10 this year and then win 8 of 10, and AD is playing like an MVP. And then he gets hurt against the Nuggets the other day. We still don't know the severity of the injury or even what the injury is. They're just calling it a foot injury, and there's reports that he's going to be out for multiple weeks, but we don't know how many multiple, like 2 or 3 or like 8 to 10, because that's going to have a big effect on what they do. I just had Harrison Fagan. He is the SB Nation NBA editorial manager and also does some stuff at Silver Screen and Roll, the Lakers blog on SB Nation. He was on our podcast last night. So if you want to hear an hour of Lakers talk, listen in there. But that was the big question. Like how does this AD injury affect what they do at the trade deadline? Because it doesn't really make sense to, trade Russ and these 2 picks for a short-term fix if you don't think you're going to be a contender. If AD is out for 2 or 3 months and you're barely going to scrape it in the play-in tournament, like, why are you trying to fix this thing at all? Like, just ride this out until the summer, let Russ expire, keep the picks. You could have up to $30 million in cap space, see what you can do then. Whereas, if AD is only out for a couple weeks and they think, okay, we can salvage this thing. Then maybe you do revisit the Buddy Hield, Miles Turner trade or a DeMar trade, something with Toronto, who is another team that, could go either way at the trade deadline. So hopefully we'll just find out soon, like what AD is actually dealing with, and then we can really evaluate what the Lakers should do.
Before I let you go, which 15-win team is more of your concern right now moving forward? Is it Dallas or Golden State?
I would say Golden State just because they've proved it before. Well, again, we'll see how long Stephen Curry is out. But Dallas is just so Luka-centric. And Luka is an incredible player. He's among the MVP favorites, deservedly so. But I just have no faith in the rest of that roster. Whereas Golden State, even if Steph misses time, you still have Clay, you still have Draymond, you still have Jordan Poole, and you've got the Wiseman, the Moody, the Kuminga, the young kids that they were counting on that haven't really panned out the way they thought. So, do they explore a trade with any of those guys for a win now piece? I just think the Warriors have a lot more upside this year than the Mavericks do.
Follow him on Twitter at @Toporek. Check out the NBA podcast. Like, subscribe, download, give it the 5-star review. And of course, check out all of Bryan's work over with Liberty Ballers and Forbes Sports. Bryan, always appreciate you jumping on. If I don't talk to you before then, Merry Christmas. Enjoy the holiday weekend.
Likewise, Josh. Thanks as always, man.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Sports Bash being brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City, closer than you think. Shop their new inventory and take advantage of exceptional offers online anytime at BMWofAtlanticCity.com. We'll wrap up the show coming up on the other side. Don't forget Sixers basketball tonight at 7 o'clock. Right here on 97.3 ESPN.
Get the gift of 97.3 ESPN this year for Christmas. It's cheaper than gift cards.
Merry Christmas!
Just tell a friend to download the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free in the Apple Store or Google Play.
Merry Christmas!
This report is brought to you by EMT Solar and Roofing. EMT Solar and Roofing can help you get qualified for a free roof with solar installation. Apply now at ESPNsolar.com.
Dell's Days of Deals start now with fresh, limited quantity deals each day on tech to power every passion. Save on select XPS laptops and Alienware PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget, special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and monthly payment options with Dell Preferred Account. Just call 877-ASK-DELL for Days of Deals savings. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
At the Home Depot, we have the tools for you to give the gift of a smarter home with savings on top brands like the Google Hub, a command center for your smart devices that raises the IQ of your entire home, or the Nest Learning Thermostat that helps you conserve energy and save on your bill. And if you don't know what to get, gift cards are a smart gift no matter what they get. So this year, gift smarter with savings on tools to make your holiday magic. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
The world is always on, but you shouldn't be. Put junk sleep to bed. During Mattress Firm's Dream December sale, save up to 60% with Sealy Queen mattresses starting at $279.99. Only at Mattress Firm.
Are you looking for a truly unique experience? Sweetwater Marina Riverdeck is just the place. They feature roll-up garage doors to merge the indoor and outdoor space for the nice weather. You'll love to sit on their lawn at one of their picnic tables overlooking the Mullica River at sunset. Whether you're looking to have a nice casual dinner with a family or enjoy live music with friends, it's always a great time at the Riverdeck. Your dream day at Sweetwater Marina and Riverdeck will be nothing short of amazing. Visit SweetwaterRiverdeck.com for more info on their upcoming events and daily hours. That's SweetwaterRiverdeck.com.
Have you been naughty or nice this year? Cash don't care. At Jackson Hewitt, you could still get up to $4,500 for the holidays. Some bucks now, more bucks in January. So be naughty. Snap up all the ginger snaps. Wear a pretty sweater to an ugly sweater holiday party. You could still get up to $4,500 when you go to Jackson Hewitt today. Details at jacksonhewitt.com. Eligible clients can get up to $1,000 in December and up to $3,500 in January. Loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Finance charge may apply.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot, but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital. Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com. I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
With GMF financing to qualify buyers excludes Corvette.
It may be cold outside, but the deals are smoking at Bennett Chevrolet. It's our red-hot clear-the-lot year-end sale. While they last, everybody gets GM supplier employee pricing on new Chevys. That's right, everybody pays what our supplier employees pay and not a penny more. Even when other dealers are selling for thousands over sticker, Bennett is selling at GM supplier employee prices. But hurry, this incredible deal is on new Chevys and they will sell out fast. Save even more with rates as low as 3.99%, and every pre-owned's on sale too. This may sound unbelievable, but Bennett's paying a minimum $10,000 for the worst clunkers towards any pre-owned in stock. Yes, a minimum 10 grand for total Imagine how much you'll get for a trade that actually runs. And our non-commissioned sales team is paid not on how much you spend, but on your satisfaction. So you know you will be satisfied. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, wrapping up the show, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill today on the Bash. Mike will be back in tomorrow. On tomorrow's show, Mike will be back over at Chickies and Pete's for a Thursday edition of the Sports Bash. We will continue to get you ready for Eagles Cowboys on Saturday. And look, you know, a lot of people have said it, and I'll re-echo it. You know, the game has lost a little juice because of a variety of reasons. You know, Jalen Hurts is probably not playing, so you lose the whole Hurts, Micah Parsons thing. Feud. I don't even know if it's a feud anymore. I think it's more like a I feel like it's more like a one guy said something bad about the other guy, and then the other guy kind of just shrugged his shoulders and didn't care, is kind of the thing. So but also the fact that, you know, the Eagles, they just need to win one game. It's not the end of the world. If they don't win that one game, they can kind of just, you know, do it next week. So it's not do or die for Philadelphia. It's still an important game for Dallas because of the fact that they can, the only way they have to win the division and move up in the standings, they have to win this game on Saturday, and then they have to win out, you know. And that's not going to be easy because remember, Dallas next week has Thursday football against the Titans. And then the final week of the season, they're taking on Washington. Try to remember, is that in Washington? Yeah, it's in Washington. And Washington at that point will themselves be playing for the division. Sorry, for a playoff spot as well. Washington's at a bit of a disadvantage because the problem for Washington is that they gotta win this San Francisco game. And I don't see them doing it. I think Washington may have buried themselves because I think it's more likely the Lions win out than Washington wins out, because Washington has two playoff teams on their schedule, the 49ers and the Cowboys. So, but Dallas is still playing for seeding. You know, under, ESPN's Football Power Index projections, the most likely matchup is Dallas and Tampa in the first round. And I know for a lot of people, that's not the most exciting game, but I think Dallas can win that game. There is a scenario where Dallas could drop to the 6th spot, and then they would have Minnesota, and they clobbered Minnesota earlier this year. So, but the most likely scenario is that Dallas is going to be the 5 seed, and then the 6, 7, and 8 seed is, basically the Giants, the Lions, and Washington, and whoever wins 2 out of 3 to finish the year is probably going to be the team that gets in, basically. Because the problem with the Giants is they got the Vikings, and they got the Vikings this week and the Eagles the last week. And, the problem with the Eagles the last week is that if the Eagles have nothing to play for, it's a win in the bag for you, for a team the Giants try to get in the postseason. The problem is that what if the Eagles, for whatever reason, don't win the next 2 games? Well, they have to win the final game. So a lot of things can still play out, and I'm excited to see it all play out. That's why I'm interested in the Dallas game, aside from Dallas Eagles. It's the fact that there's so many dominoes, so many scenarios. And by the way, it starts tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN. The Jags and the Jets. The Jags, if they keep winning, they can win the division. So Sixers tonight at 7 o'clock on 97.3 ESPN. Jags and Jets for the postseason on the line on Thursday Night Football. And Sixers back in action on Friday night here on 97.3 ESPN. And then Eagles, Dallas on Saturday, Christmas Eve. And Sunday, Sixers, Knicks at noon on 97.3 ESPN. Thanks again to Bryan Toporek, to Adam Caplan, John McMullen, Dave Weinberg, Mike McGarry, and thank you for listening to 97.3 ESPN.
This is South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football with the legendary voice of the Eagles, Merrill Reese and Mike Quick. Philadelphia Eagles football on 97.3 ESPN is brought to you by
Boardwalk Honda. From Maine to Miami, nobody beats a Boardwalk deal. EMT Solar and Roofing. Go to ESPNsolar.com to see if you qualify. Jersey Shore Federal Credit Union. Make the switch and bank with your only community credit union. BMW of Atlantic City. Closer than you think. Anytime at BMWAtlanticCity.com. Jenkins Plumbing and Heating. The original Piccalilli Inn. Nobody beats the Piccalilli. GMS Law at GMSLaw.com. 844-REACH-NJ from the New Jersey Department of Human Services. Call today, 844-REACH-NJ. The D'Amato Law Firm. They represent clients who have been seriously injured. And Miller Lite, the official beer sponsor of the Philadelphia Eagles.
97.3 ESPN FM is your official home in South Jersey for Eagles football.
See the red tag. Save a lot of green at the Bridgeton Chevrolet Buick GMC Red Tag event. Get $500 red tag bonus cash on select new models. Plus, make no payments for 90 days. Lease a new 2022 Chevrolet Colorado Crew Cab. $299 a month for 36 months. Plus, get the BAM Advantage. 2 years of scheduled no-cost maintenance. Save now at Bridgeton Chevrolet Buick GMC. Better get to Bridgeton. Find new roads. Payment deferment excludes leases. $2,500 down on all vehicle offers. See dealer for details.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
TLC Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling has been proudly serving South Jersey for over 15 years. Owner Matt Calloway was born and raised in Cape May County and has over 20 years of experience in the heating and cooling industry, as well as fireplaces, plumbing, and bathroom renovations. You can always count on a licensed and insured local contractor like TLC Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling to be there promptly and to fix your problem right the first time. If your home needs a little TLC, get TLC Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today. Online at tlcphc.com.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver.